Welcome back. This is the Transfer Show for one final hour of this window, and only 3 hours left until it all slams shut. Carvey and Darmish are still with us, as always, and as you can see, we've got a very special guest with us. Darragh McAnthony, a chairman and owner of Peterborough Football Club, has joined us for the whole hour. Great to see you, Darragh, as well. We'll speak to you in just a second. Plenty going on, as we mentioned. Despite talks in Paris, today, Kylian Mbappe's deal from PSG to Real Madrid is off. But what does it mean for next summer? What about Chelsea? Well, they've agreed a deal for Spain midfielder Sal Niguez, and they're confident of getting the deal done before this 11 p.m. deadline. Elsewhere, Arsenal have agreed a deal to sign Tahiro Tomiyasu. Emerson Royal has completed his move to Tottenham, and Dan James is a Leeds United player. Into the last 3 hours then, guys, and it's been a frantic day as always. Darragh, first of all, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. How's your day been as an owner and a chairman of a club?
Yeah, it's been eventful. A lot of us know what's going on all the way up to the end of the day. You know what you're working on in the days leading up to it. So we obviously signed the young lad from West Ham. That's been in the works for 6 weeks. And it was always a case of, to be fair to West Ham, they were brilliant with us. David Moyes was great. They made it clear he would go to us, but only when they signed players. Unfortunately, that took a bit longer, so our season started, and then he's on the bench in the Premier League as a sub, and you're thinking, please don't get on. Because if he comes on, scores a wonder goal or does something, and it sounds bad, but kid's a wonderful talent, so we're very happy to have him. He completes our central midfield quartet that we have. And then we were after a little bit of insurance for one of our strikers, and I tried all day. And I busted my you-know-what to try and get a deal done, and it just became impossible in the end. The club I was dealing with, they're not big fans of me, hard to imagine. And, the price was probably inflated 50% because it was us calling.
Right.
Player was devastated. Couldn't get it done in the end. We had, medicals pre-organised, everything else. So we were OK with that. It was always an extra little bonus if it were to happen. And then Yeah, I tried all the way up to an hour before coming here. We'd gone backwards and forwards. In the end, it just became, it wasn't worth it financially. We were already into 7 figures. And then it became daft. And for insurance, it was just daft. And then I just pulled the plug. But at one point I was going to go, I'm going to do this. And I was like, no, this is getting silly now. So sometimes you've got to walk away. It's actually better to do that than making a mistake and getting too crazy.
Sounds fun. It sounds really fun.
Yeah, I mean, there was about 8 calls, and at one point Barry called me a C word, and I called him the same, and that went backwards and forwards. We were at one point having rucks, which is great. It's a healthy part of our relationship. And then late before I came here, I think we've done a deal for Ethan Hamilton to leave. He's gone to a club permanently, as long as he passes his medical, obviously. So it's been going on like that all day. You tell all your players to be available, particularly the ones who could be on the move. Obviously, we had the Dembele saga where people were like, well, our club's in for him. And then there was rumours, there was an agent putting it out there, he was available for $2 million. And I was laughing because I'd still get that in January, even with 5 months left on his contract. So the idea we were ever going to do that is insane, because he's such an important player. So I'd put a figure out 2 weeks ago to his agents in France and to the clubs who liked him, the figure. And if the figure didn't get met, we were like, he's staying. And my partners were strong on that with me. But we feel we've had a good window, and we've big 2 weeks coming up now.
OK, well, congrats on the window. You have had a good window indeed. And thanks for being with us tonight. But we can confirm you weren't in for Kylian Mbappe. That's who we're going to talk about first.
Yeah.
Carvey, what's the very latest? That one's off now.
Yeah, that deal is totally off. Basically, what happened is, as we've been reporting, Real Madrid have made a big push to sign Kylian Mbappe in the last few days from PSG. He is out of contract next summer. The player himself wanted to move to Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid put in a second offer of 170 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons, and they gave PSG a deadline of 5 p.m. yesterday to respond to that offer. Now, PSG did not respond to that offer, and Real Madrid at that point, we were told, were basically walking away. But I always had the feeling that there was a chance that Real Madrid would wake up this morning and give it another go. And that is exactly what they did today. They gave it another go. I'm not sure they actually made an official bid, another official bid for Kylian Mbappe today. But what I've been told is that Real Madrid let PSG know that they were willing to pay more than 220 million euros for Kylian Mbappe to take him today. That is what they told PSG. And basically what happened is that PSG stalled. They weren't negotiating properly with Real Madrid, and at about 6 o'clock this evening UK time, Real Madrid walked away from the deal. I was told the deal is off. It is too late. There's not enough time to do it this evening. The player is in Strasbourg with the France squad as well, and I've been told that Kylian Mbappe told PSG yesterday again that he would not be signing a new contract with them. He would leave on a free transfer, and as far as Real Madrid are concerned, they will now wait until January to try and speak to him and get him to sign a pre-contract agreement, which means that he would move there for free next summer.
Dara, I mean, this is an incredible story. What's more incredible, do you think, the fact that Paris Saint-Germain are willing to pay 220 million euros for a player today that they can get for free from January? Or is it more incredible that PSG are saying no to that fee when they could potentially lose the player, for nothing in January, and they'll go next summer?
So everything's relative, and I was saying this earlier on. For the Qataris to say no to 200 million, it would be like me losing 10 grand in a casino one night. Yes, it might feel a bit painful, but that's the reality. That's what we're talking. And it sounds horrible, because in a world we live in and everything else, it's an obscene amount of money. But for them, that's the relativity here involved. They'll keep him. If they win the Champions League, it's good for their brand. They've got the player for a year. He moves on for free. They go sign another player. This is monopoly money for these people. Lucky them. So as regards Real Madrid making the deal with a year to go, forget about the year to go. People get hung up on your player's only got 9 months left. I had that with Ivan Toney, who's got 9 months left. Yeah, but there's a price you have to pay to get him. Otherwise, he'll stay. So you want him or you don't want him. So that's irrelevant how long's left on the contract. That's why Real Madrid went all the way to 220 million in the end. God knows what it would have been like if it had 3 years left on his contract. So that's the market we're in, sometimes in the higher end of football. But I will say this to you, gentlemen. Outside the Premier League and all these big deals, there is a recession in football, in the Football League. And that's quite clear from this window.
Just from what Dara said about the fact that it would be like losing £10,000 in a casino, that's the equivalent of PSG rejecting this bid. This sounds like this power play that we've been mentioning over the past couple of weeks, because once it's become clear that Mbappe has said, I'm not signing a new PSG contract, PSG PR machine kind of went into overdrive, didn't it? Because they want to put all of the onus on Kylian Mbappe. They need to keep the fans on side, in a manner of speaking, don't they? Because the fans want to see Kylian Mbappe in a PSG shirt long term. And PSG will say, we want more than what we bought him for, number one. If we don't, we extend his contract. And he's promised us, PSG fans, he will not leave for free. He has guaranteed us that. And that's the message that they wanted to put out. So are you kind of saying that that was more important to them than this 220 million euros?
They don't care about the French league. They have a vision. They want to win the Champions League, correct? They brought Messi in there. Now they've got a front three as good as anyone. If they can't win the Champions League now, they're never going to win it. So for them, it was never about 220 million. And the other thing you're forgetting is who they're going to bring in instead of Mbappe. So it's great having two of them, but you need a third. So who's going to fulfill that role right now? Strikers, I keep saying this, and I've said this for 2 weeks, like prehistoric, dinosaurs. They're a rarity. They're scarce. They're impossible out there. Ask even in our league, the Championship, League One, League Two, the Premier League. You've seen it with Kane this summer. Give me a number 9 who's going to score 35 goals a year. Tell me the price of them. And then when you sell yours, who are you getting in? So all those things come into it. But they want to win the Champions League. So for me, it made sense for them to keep him for a year. And it's not about the money for them, in my opinion. Not with a year left. And they'll let him go.
And of course, now he's saying that he's not going to sign a new contract and he's going to leave.
They've known
but things can change. Things can change in the next few months.
What happens if they strike up a great partnership with the front three?
What happens if they win the Champions League next summer? Will he then change his mind and decide PSG is going to be the place to be? What if they say we're going to pay you even more?
It's Real Madrid. Real Madrid is still Real Madrid. No matter what's happened in the finances the last couple of COVID years.
13 European Cups.
It's Real Madrid. Everyone wants to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona, those top players. And with all due respect to PSG, they can have as much money as they want. It's not Real Madrid and it's not Barcelona. And he obviously made it very clear he wants to go there. The other thing you can say as well is, what if he does his ACL? What if he hurts himself? What if he gets a bad injury and he's out for a period of time? That's the other gamble you're making. But he's probably already a wealthy young man anyhow, 22. But look, he's going to gamble on himself. He'll see out his year. He'll sign for them in January and leave in the summer.
What do you make of the way the player himself has behaved? Because the other night, on Sunday night, he was the man of the match. He was incredible. He hasn't said anything in public. Two
players, Ronaldo 36 and Mbappe 22. Great example of how to behave, on and off the pitch professionally. And to be fair to the kid, he's done no interviews. He's never illustrated publicly. even during, obviously, the Euros in the summer, and he didn't have a great Euros. He's never come out and said, I want to leave, I want to go, and I'm not going to come to training, or I'm going to stay away pre-season and extended break. And that's not a dig at Harry Kane, by the way, each to their own. So the boy's done it the right way, and I think he's sitting pretty. You know, he'll finish the season, they might win the treble in France, and then he can sail off into the sunset and sign for one of the top 3 clubs in the world.
Well, that takes us nicely on to another man we're going to talk about in this first part, and that is Harry Kane. And you talked about the importance of strikers who can score you a boatload of goals in a season. But fresh quotes tonight, and we all sat up and when these quotes reached us on the desk, and they're relatively explosive. Darmish, what's been said today?
Yeah, look, he did a couple of interviews with a couple of radio outlets earlier on today. He's with the England squad, of course, ahead of their World Cup qualifiers. Some of the things that he said that I've picked out, he said, look, I know what the situation was between me and the club, Tottenham, of course, and that's the way it will stay, number one. Another thing he said was he doesn't think that the saga has tarnished his reputation. And then, this was quite interesting, anyone involved in the football industry knows the ins and outs. I was quite calm with the situation, but when you're in it, your conscience is clear. And I just wonder if he's referring there to this famous gentleman's agreement. And I know you were on the show a few weeks ago where you said you've had gentleman's agreements with people, but they are not worth the paper they're written on simply because they're not written on paper.
Correct.
It is just a gentleman's agreement. So I think Harry Kane might be intimating there that, look, I know what was said. And it could be one of those things where, when his career is finished and he writes his book, we'll actually find out the real ins and outs. Because while he's with Tottenham, if there was a gentleman's agreement that we believe that there was to be, that's what we were briefed, he's not saying it in black and white just now, but he's kind of intimating that there was.
So just to go over it again, because I know you've spoken about it before on the transfer show, but the gentleman's agreement, you spoke about Ivan Toney. You know, we've got a player who's scoring goals and wants to move on to further their career. Where do you stand on that as an owner and a chairman?
Well, it depends. Obviously, with Ivan, I spoke to both him and his dad. So it's not just with him. Now you're making a promise to someone's parents. So, and I take that strongly because I'm a dad, and I'd want someone, if they did it with my son or my daughter, it would be the same. So I'm one of those people, your word, you bond. So if you give someone your word and you say, and the words are, if we get the right offer for us and we think it's right for you, we won't stand in your way. Now, if I turn around and say, we'll let you go next summer without following up with, as long as the offer's right for us, that's a different scenario. Look, you heard Guardiola recently, the way he spoke about Daniel Levy in that interview. This is Daniel Levy. So he didn't want the player to leave, and it's his prerogative. Him and Joe Lewis own Spurs. And to be fair, who are you signing? And Spurs have started brilliantly. They're the clean sheets kings, right?
Yeah. And
now they've got a good manager and they're building the defence. They could be a force this season. And if Harry Kane has his head screwed on, and I think he will, and this won't tarnish his reputation. If he wins the Golden Boot this year, Spurs fans won't care. If he scores 10 goals for England, football fans won't care. So this is not about reputations. You don't lose your reputation because of a big transfer saga. Who knows what's been said? We'll find out in the autobiography in future. He might get sold next summer. But he ain't getting sold for 150 million at 29.
And as Dara hit the nail on the head there, if the offer we want is good enough, and that offer was never forthcoming, was it, from City, Carve? What did he hear?
I think as far as Spurs are concerned and as far as Spurs fans are concerned, they don't care about all this anymore. This is done. This is like old news. They've lived through it all summer. They don't even want to think about it or talk about it. They don't care what Harry Kane has said. They know that Harry Kane contractually has to speak to the media when he's on England duty.
Sounds like he's still upset, though, from those comments.
Well, I mean, you can listen to the interviews, you can read the quotes and make of it what you will. But if you're a Spurs fan, the bottom line is he's staying at Spurs. Daniel Levy said he wasn't leaving, and he hasn't left. Spurs at the top of the table. They've won 3 games. They've kept 3 clean sheets. Harry Kane as well, in some of those quotes, he went on to say that, as always, all he's focused on is winning trophies at Spurs. He said that is what he's focused on at the moment. And I made this point a couple of weeks ago, that if Spurs have a really, really good season and finish in the top 4 and they're in the Champions League, or they win a trophy, I could see Harry Kane signing a new Spurs contract. We've seen these kind of things end with the player actually staying and signing a new contract. So that is a possibility as well. But if you're a Spurs fan, honestly, I don't think you care about this anymore. You just want Harry Kane to stay at Spurs for as long as possible.
Okay, maybe the next contract might have a buyout clause or something like that. Yeah. Gentlemen, great stuff. So much more to talk about, of course. And we are going to be focusing next on Chelsea as they look for their man Sal Niguez. Can they get him in before the window slams shut at 11 p.m? We'll find out all here on Sky Sports News.
We're all in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Yeah, guys, welcome back to the Transfer Show here with Carvey Darmish and Darren McAnthony is with us as well, and we're talking all things transfers as we motor towards the 11 p.m. end of this window, and what a window it has been. Carvey, you got an update, have you, on Saul Niguez and Chelsea's search for their man?
Yeah, looks like that deal is going to happen this evening. All parties in this deal are in agreement. So the player himself wants to come to Chelsea, he's agreed everything, and Chelsea have agreed a deal with Atletico Madrid. Everybody's working hard to make sure the deal is done by the deadline this evening, and Chelsea are going to be paying a £4 million loan fee, and they'll also have an option to buy the player permanently next summer for €35 million. I've been told the player is not going to be flying into London this evening. He's in Madrid at the moment, and the deal can be done there. He can have his medical there, all the paperwork can be done there, but he will be coming to London to play for Chelsea as long as everything is done by the deadline. And looks like on paper a great deal for Chelsea because he's a fantastic player. He's kind of lost his way a little bit at Atletico Madrid. Maybe he's been there for a long time, but he's won lots of trophies there, had a lot of success. He's worked under Diego Simeone, and if you're a midfielder and you work for Diego Simeone, you know, you are giving 100% when the side are out of possession, when you're in possession, and I think that suits the kind of way that Chelsea play under Thomas Tuchel as well. I think in a way it could be similar to that deal for Kovacic, that Chelsea got him on loan from Real Madrid. You know, he had a sort of season to prove himself in the Premier League. Chelsea liked what they saw, so they took up the option to sign him permanently from Real Madrid.
Centre midfielders there, haven't they? Like top quality centre midfielders as well. But I guess if you're competing in the Champions League, Premier League, and on all fronts, you need a big squad. Darryl, what's it like when you're trying to sign a player? It is deadline day. You're getting into the last few hours of the window, and you're not there yet. Do you start getting itchy feet? Do you think about walking away from a deal, or do you follow it all the way through to 11 p.m?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, obviously, like I said today, the boy we got from West Ham, so he's away on international duty, Republic of Ireland. So then you're waiting. He has to, after training, we were waiting for him to go sign the documents. Then they have to be sent across, and they need an international clearance wherever it was. And my football secretary Liz, who's brilliant at what she does, you know, she's texting me before coming to show, can I go home now, or is anything happening later on tonight? And I'm like, no, you've grafted, and she's not feeling great. So I'm like, you can go. There's nothing. I said, unless. I said, to keep the phone on and charged. So a lot of the time, like I said, you know what's happening because you know what you're moving for. Now, in saying that, something could come out of nowhere, out of left field, and you could get a phone call, and it could be an interesting phone call, and you go, that's something I could revisit, and that's doable. You know, I was saying this recently. We chased Norburn for 2 years from Shrewsbury, and it was always $1 million, $750, and we could never quite do the deal. They didn't want to really sell him. He was a very important player. Did the player want to come? And again, he wasn't on our list this summer because we thought, well, we're not going a third time. And then out of the blue, we got a tip-off. Well, a deal can be done. The player would love to come. And it happened in 12 hours. Right. So sometimes things can happen really quickly in football. And again, today, like the amount of calls of agents, phone calls, this player's available, that player's available, and the club will pay most of the wages. And
because fans sometimes think, it gets to 11 p.m. and their team haven't signed anyone. They think, why didn't you just tell us this morning that you weren't going to sign anybody? So I haven't sat here watching Sky Sports News all day. But of course, you said,
I did earlier. I warned our fans. I said, look, that's our business done for the day. Right. Again, unless that one I'd visited earlier.
But you just said something could still come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's too late in the day because I think that player's playing right now. So it's too late in the day unless we kidnap him during the game. So, But I mean, sometimes you could have international clearance. It could be a medical you're waiting on. It could be documentation. It could be a fax machine like we had in Spain a few years ago. Well, what amazes me is in America you have a thing called DocuSign, where you can do digital scanning and signing. And it's taken forever to get that into football. Because you want to see what a deal sheet actually looks like when you do it. And you ask my secretary, that can take longer than anything else, never mind the medical. So there's all of that going on behind the scenes. But it's a buzz for everyone involved in football.
Yeah, fascinating insight. Carvey, before we move on from Chelsea, another name we've been talking about all window, Jules Koundé, the centre-back. Obviously, Kurt Zuma's gone to West Ham now. Where's the replacement in the form of Koundé that they were looking for? Well,
look, I don't think this deal is going to be happening. What happened is that last Wednesday, Chelsea put in an offer to Sevilla of €50 million for him, and the player has got a release clause of about €80 million. Now, Sevilla went back and said, OK, you don't have to pay the €80 million, but it's got to be closer to €80 million. So I think they tried to find something in the middle, and they said to Chelsea, look, get back to us by Friday. And apparently, according to Sevilla and their sporting director Monchi, Chelsea did not get back to them on Friday. So it looks like Chelsea weren't willing to go over 50 million euros. I think Sevilla may have thought Chelsea have just made almost 30 million pounds from selling Kurt Zouma. We want to get our hands on some of that money. Obviously, Chelsea are a very, very wealthy club, but they are quite careful in the market at the moment. You know, they've got a valuation of the player. The valuation was 50 million euros. Yeah. They weren't willing to go above that. So it looks like that is not happening. But he's a very, very good young player. A lot of people say he's the best young defender in Europe at the moment. And I'm sure a lot of other clubs are going to be trying to sign him in January and next summer as well.
OK, I'm going to come to Darren on that in a second, but you've got someone on your phone.
We're talking about clubs like Sevilla and Atletico Madrid. Wait till you listen to this. This has come from our colleagues at Sky in Italy, and they're saying that Atletico Madrid are in talks to re-sign Barcelona forward Antoine Griezmann. Talks are ongoing, and the deal would be a season-long loan with an obligation to buy. We know Diego Simeone is keen to bring in a striker before the end of the window, but look, we're looking at 2.5 hours to get this deal done. Barcelona, we're told, are already looking for a potential replacement. One of those players that they are looking at is Sevilla's Luke de Jong. It's also worth noting here that João Felix will not be part of any deal to re-sign Antoine Griezmann. So, Atletico Madrid in talks to re-sign Barcelona forward Antoine Griezmann. This is the window that keeps on giving. And just when you thought...
You alluded to this, Carvey. Earlier, Griezmann, didn't you, going back to Atletico Madrid? You mentioned it in the 5 o'clock show we had, and you'd heard something earlier.
Yeah, look, I think the issue is that Saúl Ñíguez at Atletico Madrid is on, I think, about £200,000 a week. So for them to bring Antoine Griezmann in and to comply with La Liga's financial fair play rules, they needed to get somebody off their wage bill. And obviously that is why Saúl Ñíguez is going to Chelsea. That has freed up some room on their wage bill to be able to bring Antoine Griezmann back. Now, Antoine Griezmann leaving Barcelona from a football point of view is bad news for Barcelona, but from a financial point of view, it is fantastic news because he's on massive money at Barcelona. Yeah. We know Barcelona have got financial problems, so he is one player they needed to get off their wage bill, and it looks like that is going to happen. But as Darmesh said, another one of the big names in world football moving in a transfer window where everybody thought it was going to be pretty quiet.
And it's, all have been... But Thomas, did I hear you right? Did you say Luke de Jong might go to Barcelona?
Yeah.
As in Luke de Jong, who went on loan to Newcastle and didn't score a single goal.
I knew you were
There's Newcastle fans
that shows the state they're in. That shows you the state that Barcelona are in, all due respect.
That's incredible. That's more incredible than Messi and Ronaldo and the lot for me. That's actually unbelievable.
This one, someone's just texted me, actually. They're obviously watching. Right. And... they've just said that this is just from one person, nobody else. Okay. Griezmann is done, mate. And he goes on to say 99% De Jong will be up front with Braithwaite at Barcelona.
Wow.
Okay, so
it's hardly
the talks are obviously getting to an advanced stage, and they have to be. If they want to get this deal done, they've got 2.5 hours. But this has just come from one source to say that it's done, but that has to be confirmed with every single club involved.
Dara, you go from Messi, Suarez and Neymar to Braithwaite and De Jong. I mean,
not even Messi could have made them two look good. I mean, he got out in the nick of time, didn't he, to be fair to him?
Wow, I mean, it is an incredible, and like you said, it underlines sort of potentially the financial difficulties that some of these Spanish clubs are in.
I'll tell you what it says. It says that even the biggest clubs in the world, aren't safe from a pandemic or bad financial mismanagement. And if you said this 2 years ago, if we'd sat down 2 years ago and said Barcelona are going to lose Messi, this is going to be their front line, they're going to be €1 billion in debt, you'd have said you're off your trolley. So again, anyone can ruin a good football club. Mismanagement, and they're one of the biggest in the world. Shocking.
Interesting. Really interesting. Right, well, like you say, it is another huge name we've talked about in this window. We've talked about Griezmann, now we've talked about Messi, Ronaldo. We are going to be talking about Ronaldo after this break, getting Dara's thoughts on what was an incredible move as Ronaldo made his move back to Old Trafford.
We're
all in to kick it out.
2 hours, 26 minutes and 30 seconds to go. We're here on the Transfer Show for the final time of this transfer window. What an incredible window it's been. Ahead of the break, we were just talking about Antoine Griezmann potentially going back to Atletico Madrid. We'll see how that one cooks along as we head towards an 11 o'clock closure of this window. Oh, what? You're pointing at your phone. What you got?
Yeah, actually, I'll give this to Dharmesh because it's come in on my phone, but this is his story, so I'll let him do it.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Look at that.
Teamwork.
We're friends again. We're friends again.
Finally, that's amazing.
It's his story. He's been doing it all along.
OK, yeah, this is one that we were expecting to happen. West Ham United have completed the signing of the Czech Republic international Alex Kral. He joins from Spartak Moscow. It's a loan with a view to making that loan a permanent, so it's a loan with an option. We know that his Czech Republic teammates are Tomáš Souček and Vladimír Koufal, and the agency who did the Koufal deal to West Ham have also done this deal as well. Stephen Hunt, the former Reading wingers, heavily involved in the representative side of that deal that's taken Alex Kral from Spartak Moscow to West Ham United. So look, they've had quite a good window. They've left some of the deals very late. They had Alphonse Areola as a loan with an option from Paris Saint-Germain very early during the window. They were after a central defender. They got Kurt Zouma for nearly £30 million. They were after an attacking midfielder. They got Nikola Vlasic from CSKA Moscow for around £34 million. And now Alex Kral, a midfielder, has joined from Spartak Moscow. Thank you, Carve.
And you know what? If he does half as well as the other two Czech players at West Ham, then they've signed another golden player, haven't they?
You've got to say, actually, since David Moyes has gone into West Ham,
recruitment,
he has taken total control. I mean, obviously, a lot of other people at West Ham are involved in the recruitment as well, but he has the final say. And just look at the players that he signed. Almost every single player he signed has worked out. Jared Bowen, Souček, Koufal. And he really wanted Vlasic this summer as well. He really wanted Zouma as well. He really wanted Kral as well. So almost every time West Ham sign a player now, you're almost looking forward to watching them because you think, wow, this guy could be as good as Tomáš Souček has been. And David Moyes has always been someone who's really, really careful about the players he signs. He watches video. I mean, normally he likes going out and watching them himself, but obviously because of the pandemic he hasn't been able to. But he really takes a lot of time and puts a lot of effort into it, and he has done an incredible job when it comes to recruitment as well as on the pitch.
On and off the pitch, absolutely right. Look, let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo while we've got Dara here, because I want to get his thoughts. Before I come to Dara, what's the very latest, Dharmesh, you're hearing with regards to Ronaldo and his Old Trafford return? All signed, sealed, delivered today.
Absolutely. If you go back to Thursday, we all thought he might be going to Manchester City and doing the unthinkable as far as Manchester United fans were concerned.
Darren knew the inside. He just didn't text
he knew he wasn't. It was just a big ruse, wasn't it? And then on Friday, it accelerated. He's going to Manchester United. They announced that they'd agreed a deal. Today, they've made it official. It is a done deal. Just to remind you of the figures involved, €15 million in 5 instalments as an initial payment for Cristiano Ronaldo, plus €8 million in add-ons. It's a 2-year contract, and Manchester United have the option of a further year. 2 little aspects of this deal that I can tell you about. I'm told that the Executive Vice Chairman, Ed Woodward, often quite criticised at Manchester United, had a big say in this deal. He was responsible for the structure of the deal and ensured that the owners sanctioned it. And then, of course, there was the emotional side of the deal when you heard about Sir Alex Ferguson's phone call to Cristiano Ronaldo last week. Cristiano joined Manchester United, reading between the lines. And I think Ronaldo has actually acknowledged that in an Instagram post that he did today. He talked about his never-ending love for Manchester United before, right at the end, saying, P.S. Sir Alex, this one is for you. I know how much you like that one, being a Liverpool fan, Dara.
No, but yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm very envious of all the Chelsea deals, the Man United deals. As a Liverpool fan, I'm like, But anyway, enough about Liverpool. But it just goes to show you how influential Sir Alex still is. And fair play.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the greatest managers ever produced in the game, and he obviously was instrumental in helping us and making it happen. And
did you know something, Dara? You were, when we were saying about, because we were all on here talking about Manchester City, and
I would
you
never be
picked up the
unprofessional
phone
and betray my manager like that. You know, when he called me the other day and said, "Listen, Ronaldo's gone back to United. Don't tell anyone." The point is, yeah, look, obviously Sir Alex played a part in it, but it's a no-brainer for Man United. And commercially, by the way, the money. Even his wage is 20 million a year. Was he 400 grand a week, whatever? You saw their share price go up 8-9%. If you'd bought options on that stuff, as a director and owner, I'm not saying they did, you would have made a lot of money just in that one play.
Yeah.
So, and
the same thing happened at Juventus, didn't it?
Yeah,
Exactly the same.
The commercial value as well to the club. Not to mention, at 36, he's got the body of a 29-year-old. I mean, my God, he looks like I looked at 18. So, I mean, he's going to do incredible things for the next 2 years, in my opinion. You know, it's a game changer.
And if you look at Darren mentioned sorry, just very quickly, College. Darren mentioned the commercial side of it all, and Manchester United have released a TikTok video. I think that's what you and your friends are using, Carve. And there it is. It's a Ronaldo shirt, but if you notice, it's only the name, no number as yet. So it's quite a tease, because we all know the brand is CR7. Edinson Cavani currently holds the number 7 shirt at Manchester United. And you have to get special Premier League dispensation if you want to swap squad numbers once the season has started, unless in the next 2 hours, 20 minutes, Edinson Cavani leaves Manchester United, which we are not expecting to happen. But I'm told that United are looking into the possibility of getting this special dispensation. So it cannot be ruled out that on Saturday, September the 11th, the second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo could be Ronaldo 7.
We'll know before then whether he's got the number 7. How do you deal with that as an owner? You've got a player like Edinson Cavani, who's one of the best players in the world, already has the number 7 shirt, and Ronaldo's brand comes into town.
In the NFL, the players are allowed to buy each other's numbers off themselves. They actually do. They buy them for 100 grand, 150 grand. Do you know what I mean? Tom Brady, TB12, they come in. I think he bought Tampa Bay, one of the players, the number, gave him a new car or whatever.
So would you be tempted to throw a financial element into
Well, no, I think
Cavani?
as an owner, I'd say to Cavani, look, you know, what can we do to make you happy about this? You know, because it's important to Cristiano. And the Premier League as well probably have to give dispensation, because this is good for business. It's good for the Premier League. You know, you've now got one of the greatest players ever lived coming back to finish his career in the Premier League. So, again, that's part of it's a bit like Michael Jordan. Those numbers are iconic. So I hope he gets it, even as a Liverpool fan.
When you look at the numbers that United are paying, I think it's
nothing.
Instalments. So they're paying 5 instalments of £2.5 million a time.
Would have covered it with Dan James.
Is that something you would have been able to afford that, wouldn't you?
Well, listen, that's I wish, but that's the way we do all our business. But people don't understand this. Most transfer deals are done over time. I've been doing it for years. Even now, when I ring up people to buy a player and they go, "What do you mean you're paying it over 4 years?" I'm like, "That's how it's done in football when you buy players. We sell players for millions. You get it over 3-4 years. So that's no different if you're buying the big players." I was dealing with a big Scottish club during the summer to buy a player, and they didn't like the cheek. I'd made an offer spread over 3 years. And they said, "Well, we want all the money up front." And I said, you know, when you're buying players from Liverpool or other clubs for many millions, do you pay all that up front? Well, of course not. So what's the difference? That's just how the business works.
Relative, yeah.
It's money in the bank. But that was paid for.
Do you see Ronaldo being a success? You've already spoken about how physically fit he is. I mean, because someone said to me, "Oh, is it going to be similar to Bale going back to Spurs?"
No.
But you're saying it's a different thing altogether.
Listen, I was fortunate to be on holiday next to this guy about 5 years ago in the Bahamas. And my nanny came running into the villa every morning at 7:30. She saw him on the beach doing his ab crunches and running 5 miles up and down. Thank God it wasn't my wife saying that. But anyway, but the point was, this man is his craft. This is what he does. He'll play till he's 40. And the condition he's in, he's a credit to our industry. And every young player should look at that man and the way he lives. And he's so professional. And they could all raise their level to that. He'll be fantastic for the Premier League.
Yeah, and Darmish, of course, Darius has touched on there. Dan James, the deal that's taken him to Leeds United, it's paid Ronaldo's transfer fee. Obviously, it's not going to cover the wages, but any surprise there that it was Dan James? There was some talk it could be Jesse Lingard going to West Ham, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the Jesse Lingard one, we thought West Ham would make a formal offer for him during this transfer window. Didn't really materialise, and Manchester United are quite happy for Jesse Lingard to stay and fight for his place. And it hasn't been ruled out that contract extension could be on the cards for Jesse Lingard, just to maintain his value, because he's entering the final year of his deal. Daniel James, as recently as a week ago, we were told that, you know, he's in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans. But with the arrival of Sancho, with the arrival of Ronaldo, his first team opportunities were going to be limited. And so Leeds United have finally got their man at £25 million. This is 2.5 years after Daniel James had posed with the Leeds United shirt, thought he'd signed for them on deadline day way back in February 2019, only for that deal to fall through. But now, of course, he has signed for Leeds United. And just going back to this shirt issue, Daniel James was number 21 at Manchester United. So that shirt is now free. Guess what number Edinson Cavani wears for Uruguay?
Dun, dun, dun.
21.
It's all coming together.
James he's a Bielsa signing, though. I think he's perfect for Leeds.
Yeah,
I think
before.
Bielsa will get the best out of him.
Yeah.
He'll have a phenomenal time at Leeds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's made for the way Leeds play and that intensity and his pace. Terrific signing.
Yeah, they've
great
got some good wingers there as well, haven't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting, we were talking about Sir Alex Ferguson, the influence that he had on Ronaldo moving to Old Trafford, and one of the other players that had a big impact on that was Bruno Fernandez, who tweeted afterwards the picture saying, Agent Bruno. Or just one of the other players we've just been talking about, Alex Kral, his move to West Ham as the third Czech player. Well, apparently Thomas Souček has gone on and tweeted Agent Souček. So this is the new thing. So, but I think with Ronaldo, it wasn't... Obviously, Sir Alex is the one that's been mentioned by Cristiano himself, but I think every Manchester United legend and former player and current player was straight onto Cristiano, weren't they? We saw Rio Ferdinand had got involved. We saw everyone was messaging Ronaldo, and I guess it must have had an impact. I mean, his phone's lighting up like a Christmas tree. All his old teammates and pals saying, "You've got to come back to Manchester United. Don't go into Manchester City." It would affect any of us, wouldn't it?
That Newcastle game is going to be the most watched game in years. Is it on Sky or dare I ask the question?
It's a Saturday 3 o'clock.
Oh, dearie me!
3 o'clock.
Wow, that's going to be like popular.
I'll be watching it like that, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
I'll be watching it from the States.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. I was waiting how long until you'd get that in that you were going back up. Great stuff, Darragh. Darmish, Carvey, great stuff for now. We're going to take a very quick break now. Plenty more to get through as well in the next part as we motor towards the 11 p.m. deadline. Deals happening all the time. We'll have plenty more after the break.
We're all in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Welcome back to the Transfer Show for the final part of this window on this deadline day as well, gents. It's been an emotional ride. It's been an incredible window. We're going to be reflecting on that in just a second. I want to talk about Liverpool. We did touch on them with Dara just a few moments ago. A relatively quiet window for them. Ibrahim Konate has come through the door. But that's been about it. But they have worked to sort of extend the contracts of some of the players they have. Before I come to Dara, there's a couple of signs today, lads, as well, as including the captain Jordan Henderson. It seems to be the sort of the game plan for this window was to make sure they kept a hold of their top talent.
Yeah, exactly. They've given new contracts to all their key players one by one. It's almost been like sort of drip feeding the good news all through the summer. And bear in mind that for most of last season they were without Virgil van Dijk and without Joe Gomez. So both those players are back as well. And I know it's a cliche, but might almost be like having two new signings for them. And Ibrahima Konate, he's a player that a lot of other clubs wanted as well. Liverpool managed to get in there really, really early to do their business. So I think they will be happy with the summer they've had. I know if you're a Liverpool supporter like Dara, you'll be a bit frustrated because other clubs have been sort of, dominating the headlines and doing big deals, but a lot of people would still say that Liverpool are one of the favourites to win the title. If you look at it, who are the favourites to win the title?
Shaking it down.
Who is it? Manchester City?
Two for me.
United,
two for me. No.
Liverpool?
No, City, Chelsea by a mile. They're the two teams. Look, big Liverpool fan, have been most of my life. Jurgen Klopp's a genius for what he's done. And even over the last few years, fair play to him. You look at the surplus spend, they've made a profit of, 4 million over the last 3 years. And they've won a title. They've ran City close. They'll probably still be thereabouts, March or April. But God forbid, if one or two of the front 3, 4 players they have get injured, that's it. It's curtains. We needed a goalkeeper's goal last year to get us into the Champions League. We lose Salah January, and he gets injured while away, and we lose him in February. Who's going in there? Who's scoring the goals? Origi? And that's the question we all have. And you look at it and go, how much would Fenway, who owned Liverpool, lose if that goalie hadn't scored and put them in the Champions League? 50, 60, 70 million? Would some of those players have signed the contract extensions? Would some of the players have signed for them if they weren't in the Champions League? So do you take the gamble again? We now have what? Firmino's injured. We don't know how long for. Leaves us with 3 strikers that you pick in your team. 2 of them are off to the African Nations Cup in January. So that's a concern as a Liverpool fan, yeah. But knowing Jurgen Klopp, he'll probably still run City and Chelsea close to the title because he is just world-class manager. And it's credit to him.
It's interesting hearing you talk, it's sort of in your capacity as a fan, actually, because you're saying what a lot of fans watching at home will think. They think, well, why don't you spend a bit more money? And, it teams down the bottom of the Premier League as well. And you think, why don't you invest a bit of money and not lose all that money by being relegated? And it is something that frustrates supporters.
Sure.
But on paper, like Carve says, they look like a really strong squad, but a couple of injuries you think is too thin. Who do you
It's a brilliant team.
Where do you like to see them strengthen?
You said it's a strong squad. It's a brilliant 11, 14, 15 players. And as we saw last year with a few injuries, suddenly you go top and then you have a crisis. And then because of Klopp and getting everyone back together and the younger defenders coming in and getting them there and Alisson scoring the goal, you're just a couple of injuries away from... Manchester City can play without strikers and score loads of goals. And I'm a massive Liverpool fan. I just worry about them. And I just sometimes wish Fenway turn around and said, look, we're going to give you that one extra player. They need one more player, attacking player, in my opinion. And who am I to criticise the way they run their club? They do everything away from the pitch fantastically well with the stadium. Klopp does everything well with the team. I think he knows what he's doing more than I do. But I just worry about that 1 or 2 injuries in those key areas, attacking-wise. Everywhere else, fine. Just in that area, and we're out of it. And then it's Chelsea and the Man City show.
Interesting. Okay,
my opinion.
What have we got left there? 2 hours, 7 minutes and 17 seconds, guys. We've spoken a lot of big names this hour. Antoine Griezmann's come out of nowhere. Sal Niguez. Guys, what are we looking at the last couple of hours to go? What are going to be the big stories that we're covering now?
I think Antoine Griezmann will be the biggest story if that happens. For him to go back to Atletico Madrid from Barcelona is, he's one of the best players in the world. You'd put him in the top 5, top 10 best players in the world. Great move as far as Atletico Madrid are concerned to get him back. It looks like they're taking advantage of Barcelona's financial problems. It's been a really, really difficult summer if you're a Barcelona supporter, but I suppose the only silver lining is that you've got a president in there now who's trying to sort it all out. He's gone through all the books and all the accounts, and he's come out and he's blame the previous administration. We've seen that happen a lot before. But he's basically saying, look, it's a much worse situation than I thought it was, but trust me, I'm going to sort this out and the glory days will come back. And judging by his actions, that is exactly what he's doing, because it's a big decision to let Lionel Messi go. It's a big decision to let Griezmann go. It's just, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while.
Darmish, which one are you thinking in the last couple of hours?
Just the Griezmann one.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what Garvey touched on it there. I wonder what Barcelona fans are thinking right now. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, they're probably looking ahead to the season thinking, right, we've got the new president in, Messi's committed to the club, Messi and Griezmann we could still challenge, and now it could be De Jong and Braithwaite.
And if you're a Barcelona fan, you are watching. I just don't watch any videos of his loan spell at Newcastle.
De Jong and Braithwaite, but they've got Memphis Depay as well.
I want Darragh to have the final word here with us here on the Transfer Show. Darragh, we've seen some absolutely sensational moves in this window. What's the one that's shocked you the most? What do you think is the best transfer of the window? You've got literally a couple of seconds.
Ronaldo, because again, he's stolen Messi's thunder. You thought Messi was the big move of the summer. Along comes Cristiano and goes bang, and he's back in the Premier League. And that's a bigger story for me than the Messi going to France to retire.
The fact we're talking about both of them is incredible.
Brilliant.
Darragh, absolute star. Darmish, Carvey, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And next up, we are going to have Vicky Gomasol and Julian Warren. They will take you safely through to the end of the window at 11 p.m.
Hi there, good evening, a very warm welcome along. It is transfer deadline day, it is great to have you with us. Less than 2 hours to go until the window shuts. And Vicky, there are lots of deals on the verge of going through.
Yeah, there are indeed. But Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid for almost £200 million won't be one of them. And we will tell you why. Now, we're delighted to say former England manager Sam Allardyce is here right up until beyond tonight's 11 p.m. deadline. We've booked him all night. And we've got these two cheeky chappies as well, Chris Boyd and Paul Burson, to talk us through all the deals that matter. Won't be able to keep them quiet, will we?
Yeah, there's some big stories bubbling away as well. Will Chelsea end up getting the Atletico Madrid midfielder Saúl Ñíguez tonight? Stay with us to find out.
And look, in a window that's seen some of the biggest names move, Antoine Griezmann could be on his way back to Atletico Madrid.
Well, they might be struggling in the Premier League, but Arsenal are the biggest spenders in the division this summer, and they are closing in on a new right back. But can they get it over the line before 11 o'clock?
Plus, Cristiano Ronaldo dedicates his Manchester United return to Sir Alex Ferguson. But will he be able to reclaim the famous number 7 shirt?
Not now.
We'll hear from Sam, from Chris and from us very shortly indeed. But we're going to start with it's an incredible story coming out of France this evening, that PSG have rejected a bid in excess of £189 million from Real Madrid for Kylian Mbappe, despite the player having just a year left on his deal. Carvey, when you broke this news earlier, when we were watching you just over there were jaws dropping left, right and centre. I mean, just take us through this. It's an incredible story.
OK, well, quickly, the deal is totally off. Today, Real Madrid told PSG that they would be willing to pay more than €220 million. I was told not to reveal the exact figure, but it's more than €220 million. It is pretty close to a world record transfer fee. The world record transfer fee, I think, is £198 million for Neymar.
So you've almost done it for us then. We'll do the math.
So Real Madrid said to PSG, we're prepared to pay that today. Let's do the deal. PSG stalled. It got to about 6 o'clock this evening, and Real Madrid thought, you know what, we're walking away now because you're not negotiating with us properly. There's not enough time to do the deal, so they walked away. And as far as Real Madrid are concerned, they will go back in for him because he's out of contract next summer. They can sit down and sign a pre-contract agreement with him in January, and he can move there for nothing. And what Real Madrid are saying this evening is it's incredible the way PSG have behaved, because we were going to give them €220 million for the player. They haven't taken the money, but now we're going to get the player anyway for nothing next summer. Incredible developments, but I think you've got to bear in mind, when you're dealing with PSG, you're not just dealing with a normal football club. Effectively, they are owned by the state of Qatar. And I've just been speaking to Darragh McAntony. You've just seen him. He was on the show, the Peterborough United owner, and he said for the people who own PSG, €220 million for them is like Darragh McAntony losing £10,000 in the casino one night. Yeah. Yes, it hurts, but he gets over it. And for the people who own PSG, €220 million, I know it sounds obscene to us.
Yes, it does.
But for them, it's not a lot of money.
We are going to get Sam's reaction to that, because we did speak a little bit just as we came on there, but we are going to get your reaction very shortly. But look, let's get more on this. Let's go live to Gary Cottrell, who's with the France squad right now. So, Gary, Mbappe's not hidden his desire to leave, of course. So how do you think he'll take this news tonight?
I'm about to go and lose 10 pence in a casino. Listen, the night time has now fallen in Strasbourg. Obviously, one of the homes of the European Parliament, where brinkmanship and arguments and big money deals are commonplace in politics. Well, that's what's been happening all day here with this Mbappe to Real Madrid or not story. Money offered kept going up until those eye-watering numbers that Carvey talked about were, in the end, rejected. by PSG. PSG see themselves, don't they, as the new kid on the block, the new kings of football. None of this old Real Madrid nonsense. We don't need to sell a player that we don't want to sell, whatever kind of money you offer. Obviously, Kylian Mbappe was very, very upset. He's made it clear that he wants to join Real Madrid. He made it clear he wants to join Real Madrid this summer. We did see him a couple of hours ago at the stadium, about 20 minutes away from here, doing match day -1 practice on the pitch ahead of a World Cup qualifier tomorrow. He was the last out onto the pitch, and I think he must have just got that final news that it wasn't going to happen at that moment, because as he walked out, Carve broke the news. But he's been very professional throughout. The Tottenham captain, and of course the France captain, Hugo Lloris, has been speaking about Kylian Mbappe and the fact that he's training with a smile on his face and is being very professional despite everything that's been going on behind the scenes.
As you could see, the last game with Paris, he's totally focused, and he was decisive in the first 4 games for Paris. So that means that he respects a lot his job, his profession, that he's focused on every day, every single day, and he's ready to perform. That's it. You know what's going on between him, the club, and Real Madrid. I mean, he doesn't belong to us. He belongs to himself. But as we could see the first 2 days of the national team break. He's here with the smile and ready to help the team, ready to fight and to enjoy playing for the national team.
I think the president of PSG, the sporting director of PSG, got so excited by the reaction around the world to MNM, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe playing together that they wanted to see that happen. And of course, if it had been sold today, that wouldn't have happened. They haven't yet played together. And I spoke to somebody within the Mbappe camp this evening, and they said it's been a really, really difficult day. They believed right until the end that the deal could be done. He was too upset to say too much. He said, catch up with me in a few days' time, but we go again next time. And I said, you mean in the summer? And he went, no, next time. So perhaps all this talk of pre-contract agreements, perhaps in January. I don't know how football works. Sam will, I'm sure, allude to in a lot more detail about that. But could they go in with a cash offer in January? I don't know.
Goodness me. Thank you so much, Gary.
Right. Well, Sam has been poised, ready.
Well, it's the most interesting subject. That's a deal that's not a deal. That's not a deal gone through. Because normally we talk about what deals have gone through and what sort of prices have been paid. But to see that certainly after the problems with the pandemic and the loss of millions for football clubs because of sponsorships and no attendances, that a football club is capable of turning down over 220 million euros or pounds in the last year of his contract just is remarkable. It wouldn't be heard of anywhere else on any other football club across the world. Now they would be sold, they'd be moved on, they'd be gone, and they'd be absolutely rubbing and patting themselves on the back that they've got 220 million for somebody as good a player he is in the last year of his contract.
You know, I think there might be a sort of method in PSG's madness, because if you look at it from their point of view, they are building something special. You know, they've got this front line of Mbappe, Neymar and Messi, and I think what they're thinking is, instead of letting him go to Real Madrid and taking the money, let's have this front three for one season.
Try and win the Champions League.
Try and win the Champions League. Try and win the Champions League. And maybe during this next 12 months, we can convince him to stay. We can convince him to sign a new contract. Now, the information we have is that he is not going to sign a new contract. Yesterday, he said to PSG, I will not sign a new contract. Sell me now, because I want to go to Real Madrid. I'm a Real Madrid supporter. I want to play for Real Madrid. I've spent four years here. It's time for me to go. But obviously the people who own PSG feel like they're not going to be bullied in the transfer market by anyone, not even Real Madrid, the biggest club arguably in the world, who've won the Champions League 13 times. and they just think maybe we can convince him to sign a new deal, especially if we win the Champions League.
Just on the financial side of things, though, there's the angle of PSG, how they can walk away from 200 million for a start. But what about the Real Madrid angle? Here's a player, they know this guy wants to sign for them. It's his dream, apparently. He's available to sign a contract in 4 months' time that gets him for free in less than a year's time. And they were willing today to pay over 220 million euros for him.
I'm not so sure Mbappe's ultimate ego is and consideration is money, but you imagine how much they're going to pay him when he's free. So the agents and the lawyers and the parents will sit down and say, well, we'll take the first 100 million of that, or 150 million of that, 220 million we're going to pay, and add it on top of his contract that you were going to offer him now, and say, you know, which is all well within his rights, because in the end it all boils down to the same amount of money that they're spending. This time all they're getting is giving it to the player, and that will make him the wealthiest footballer ever seen in football. But at the moment, at 22, I think his main interest, and his lawyers and his agents will look after the financial side, he's wanted to play for his dream boyhood club, which is obviously Real Madrid. That cannot happen contractually wise until January. Anything else before January has to be speculation, because it's beyond the rules to even consider signing a contract of any sort up until that point. But you know, who knows who might come in for him then. But obviously he's got his heart set on Real Madrid. He probably will end up there. And the other scenario is, where did Real Madrid get the money? Because of their financial restrictions and what they've lost and what they've reported to lose, where have they found the money from, based on, if it's still in play, financial fair play?
Where do you think they found the money?
I've no idea where. Well, obviously somebody in Spain has maybe looks after what they need to do or try and do, because it's Real Madrid. It's Royal Madrid, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think from their point of view, you know, they're the aristocrats of world football. They see themselves as the biggest club in the world, and why wouldn't you when you've won 13 European Cups? I know they've had financial problems, but they have massive financial backing in Spain as well. And you would think that this deal, obviously they're not going to be paying 220 million euros up front. It would have been done in instalments. And when you're signing a player as good as Kylian Mbappe, who's only 22 years old, you're going to be keeping him for, say, another 10 years, and he is the next Ronaldo, he is the next Messi. And people keep saying, why would they pay that kind of crazy money now when they could get him for nothing next summer? I think as far as Real Madrid are concerned, they have been presented with this opportunity. You know, representatives, middlemen have gone to them and said, we can get you Kylian Mbappe this summer for this amount of money. Do you want him? Are you willing to go ahead with it? And they've had a look at it and thought, yes, let's do it now, because we know he's a Real Madrid supporter. We know he wants to play for us, but you don't know what's going to happen in January. You don't know what's going to happen next summer. Manchester City could come in for him. Liverpool could come in for him. Bayern Munich could come in for him. Other clubs could come in for him as well. Let's get him now, because he's that good.
But you're also buying a brand. And this is what top-level football is about now. The football's not just about the football, it's about the brand. What brand will the player have for the football club? And a player like Mbappe will recoup that money, will recoup 220 million easily and more over the period of his contract on sales all over the world. And then that's what's big about players of his calibre these days, is you are buying a brand. It's why Man United will sign Ronaldo again. His global attraction and the amount of shirts at Manchester United and goods Manchester United will sell on Ronaldo, particularly if he gets the number 7 back, will be tenfold what they're paying for him now.
OK, look, we want to move this along. We do want to bring in the boys, but we're not going to bring them in just yet. You'll just have to wait your turn, because we're going to go to Chelsea, and I'll talk to you about Chelsea in just a minute, guys, because there's a deal there that could be happening. Saul Niguez, what have you got for us?
Yeah, we'll keep this brief. Chelsea are very close to signing Saul Niguez on loan from Atletico Madrid. We're told there is total agreement between all the parties this evening, so the player has agreed to the move. Chelsea have agreed a deal with Atletico Madrid. Everybody's working hard to make sure the deal is done by tonight's deadline. Chelsea will be paying about a €4 million loan fee for Saul Niguez, and they will also have a €35 million euro option to buy him next summer. I'm being told the player is not flying to London tonight because he's in Madrid at the moment. The deal can be done in Madrid. He can have his medical there. All the paperwork can be done there as well. So it looks like Chelsea are about to get the midfielder that Thomas Tuchel wanted.
OK, should we bring them in then?
Yeah.
Because they're desperate to talk. So, Chris, I'm going to ask you first of all, this is exactly what Chelsea need. Another top-quality player, eh?
Yes, because I've not got that many of them, have they?
No.
But, I mean, I think when you're fighting on all fronts as well, Champions League, obviously the Premier League as well, you want to bring, the top players to, your club, and, he's definitely one of them, and I think he's shown that in Europe and obviously in La Liga over the last period of time as well, but you've got to say, where are they going to fit them all in?
Yeah. That's the question, isn't it, Paul? I mean, central midfield strikes me as not an area that are particularly liked Chelsea.
No, exactly. But as Chris just said, they're going to go deep in the Champions League. They're going to go very deep in the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. There's a lot of international games as well. I mean, look, you've got 3 games in quick succession coming up in this break. The games will catch up thick and fast. There's no doubt about that. If I'm the manager, I want as many, and Sam will tell you, you want as many top quality players you can get hold of. I mean, because these players will pick up injuries. It's so fast and furious now, the pace they play at. You see Kante the other day have to come off. I mean, Kovacic come on. For me, I thought personally the second half he was man of the match. I just thought the way he kept the ball and just killed the game for Chelsea when they had 10 men. So it'll be another great signing, and as I say, Chelsea are going deep in a lot of competitions this season.
OK, look, Carver, we're just going to bring you...
No, we want to keep on talking, me and Chris.
You just wait.
We can cut you off. We can cut you off.
You want to keep on talking.
All right, hang on a minute. Look, we've still got a situation there with Koundé. What's happening there as well? Because obviously they were keen on him.
Yeah, it looks like that isn't happening.
Okay.
Chelsea made an offer of 50 million euros to Sevilla for Jules Koundé, the France centre-back, 22 years old. Sevilla turned that offer down because he's got an 80 million euro release clause in his contract. They put a counter offer to Chelsea and they said to Chelsea, come back to us by Friday. They didn't hear back from Chelsea, so it looks like Jules Koundé is staying. Also, Callum Hudson-Odoi is staying at Chelsea. Borussia Dortmund wanted to sign him on loan. They said to him, come to us, you can play on the left wing, you will get lots of game time, see what we did with Jadon Sancho, see what we're doing with Jude Bellingham. The player wanted to go, but Thomas Tuchel wanted him to stay. One other quick line to bring you is about Antoine Griezmann. This is a story that was first reported by a colleague, Gianluca Di Marzio, Sky Italy. That is very close to being done. Antoine Griezmann is going back to Atletico Madrid from Barcelona because Barcelona have got these massive financial problems. They need to get him off their wage bill. I think we'll be hearing from Gianluca Di Marzio very, very soon.
Yeah, that would be a surprise, wouldn't it, to see Griezmann go back on deadline day night, but it looks like it might well be happening. More from Carve and our guests to come very shortly. We're also going to be covering, in the next few minutes, Arsenal, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, and, of course, Vicky, many more on top of that.
Yeah, we will. Harry Kane, of course, breaking his silence on his failed move to Manchester City, saying his reputation is intact. We'll have more on that next, and his conscience is clear too.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Welcome back to Transfer Deadline Day. The clock, as you see behind us, ticking away there. Over an hour and a half to go. Odsonne Edouard wants to leave Celtic to join Crystal Palace. Is that likely to happen? Just over an hour, as I said, to go. Michael Bridge is following this deal. So, Michael, you've got an update for us. What is it, please?
Yeah, I mean, 20 past 9, are we in go to bed territory? I usually go to bed around 20 past 9, so I'm going to say it. Don't go to bed. OK, I know Palace fans have been worried, tweeting, I'm worried, he's not going to come. Don't worry, OK? Honestly, don't worry. I'm told there's nothing to worry about, and Edouard has agreed a 5-year deal with Crystal Palace, so no issues. No issues at all. He should be a new Crystal Palace player very soon. So wait for the announcement shortly. Come on, just wait a little bit longer. Give Merce and some Boydie some work to do. They can talk a bit about Palace. Got Sam there as well, ex-Palace manager. Don't worry, all right? Don't go to bed. Talk Palace, and I'll be back.
He's gone all 2021 Dad's Army there. Don't panic. Right, OK, Michael, we will be back to you. We'll take you at word, and we'll keep an eye on Odsonne Edouard throughout the night. We're going to turn to Harry Kane now, who's, of course, broken his silence today about one of the biggest transfers that didn't happen in this window. That was his proposed move to Manchester City. Instead, he is staying at Spurs, as we know. He said tonight that his reputation has not been damaged after he turned up late for pre-season and he missed the first 2 matches. He's now with the England squad, and he is adamant, Vicky, that his conscience is clear.
Yeah, he's actually done an interview with BBC Sport, and this is what he's had to say. I've said before, fans are entitled to their opinion. Sometimes they don't always get the full story of what's going on. From my point of view, I've got a clear conscience, and I've got to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm doing everything I'm being asked for and asked to do by the club. He goes on to say, I'm always focused on what I need to do and where I need to be at the highest level. I know there was a lot of talk going on. There was a lot of questions being asked, but I stayed focused on what I needed to do. Obviously, everything that went on with the club is between me and the club, and that's the way it will stay. He finally says, I'd always be myself. I haven't got anything to hide. In football, sometimes there are situations that happen and they're never perfect. Life's never perfect. There's stuff that you have to overcome. So my focus is on football, and I'm looking forward to what could be a great year for club and country.
Sam, you're the perfect man to give us some perspective on what it'll be like inside that club now, with everything that's happened over this summer and how it ended up with Harry Kane not getting the move that he seemed to want and staying at Spurs. How will that now affect dynamics on the change?
Well, he didn't get the move he wanted because nobody could hit Mr. Levy's price. And obviously Mr. Levy's price tag would be inflated, which is most of the top players he's had that wanted to leave, the price has always been inflated, and if somebody then is willing to pay it, he'll let them go. I think that other than that, the only way a player gets away is by making a complete and utter problem at the football club, which Harry just cannot do. It's not within his nature, not within his professionalism, not within the way he handles himself on a day-to-day basis. So he has handled himself extremely well. There's nothing wrong with him telling or asking to leave the football club, and that'll be granted. I think that the one sticking point I would have said that would have really put the nail on the head with it, would him actually writing a written transfer request, which would then mean loss of all what loyalty bonuses he had in his contract, and so on and so forth. And that may have been something that he could have gone that far if he really wanted to get away, which may have told Daniel Levy that, look, I am determined to leave. Whether that still would have happened, I'm not so sure, but obviously everybody goes on about his age, nearly 28 now. You know, that's prime of your career, you know, and lots of players have gone and you've spent a lot of money on them in and around that age, and of course the goals he scores on a regular basis are invaluable for any team that he plays for.
During this window, will that feel like they've signed a player, the fact that Tottenham kept him?
Well, absolutely. It'll be like, you couldn't replace it. Tottenham could not replace Harry Kane, except maybe signing 3 top quality players who maybe be able to share the sort of goals that Harry could score. I don't think Tottenham can find a centre forward that scores on his own, that would score the same amount of goals Harry would score year in and year out. That player would be going to a Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Man United or a Man City now. Unfortunately, not a Tottenham.
We will get more on Harry Kane throughout the evening. Staying with Tottenham, and they've completed a signing within the last hour. Emerson Royal has joined the club from Barcelona. He's signed a contract until 2026. He'll wear the number 12 shirt. He's 22 years old, and that deal is worth €30 million.
And Tottenham are still trying to sign Adama Traore, despite Wolves not wanting him to leave their club. We understand Wolves will only entertain an offer of around £50 million plus for the winger, who still has 2 years left on his deal. Wolves are also in discussions to sign Renato Sanchez from Lille. A loan deal has been offered there.
And Tanguy Ndombele will remain at Spurs beyond the deadline. A move has not materialised, despite both parties being keen to part ways. The Frenchman, who cost a club record £54 million back in 2019 when he joined from Lyon, has never really hit the heights, I think it's fair to say, in his time at Spurs, but he's staying put.
Well, look, it's a phrase that Darms use a lot. It's the window that keeps on giving. And it gave again tonight, didn't it? Because we've got news on Antoine Griezmann. What can you tell us?
Did we expect anything else on
No,
deadline day?
absolutely
It's
not.
going to finish with a flourish by the looks of it. Look, about an hour ago, Sky in Italy were reporting that Atletico Madrid in talks to re-sign the Barcelona forward Antoine Griezmann. We were doing the transfer show when I received that email, and I think one of my contacts was actually watching, because I got a text from him and he actually said that deal is done.
Wow.
Loan plus an obligation for about €40 million. And Sky in Italy had just reported themselves that they believe that that deal is done as well. Antoine Griezmann from Barcelona back to Atletico Madrid, a loan plus an obligation to buy, the obligation being €40 million. My contact also said that Barcelona's primary target, they still want to bring someone in the remaining time, is Sevilla's Luke de Jong. And he said to me that that one 99% will get done. But you're looking at an hour and a half of this transfer window.
Done in that time.
But you know what? This must have been happening behind the scenes.
They must be having a medical already, really.
Exactly.
Have to be having a medical 4 hours ago.
For a deal this big, this must have been kept pretty quiet for a little while, happening behind the scenes. Because if they're confident that a player like Antoine Griezmann can move back from Barcelona to Atletico Madrid, something must have been going on before we got this email. And it just highlights the financial predicament that Barcelona found themselves in. Messi's had to go because they couldn't afford his wages. Antoine Griezmann was one of the highest paid players this season, in any season, at Barcelona, and it looks like they're trying to let him go. Gerard Piqué and a few others have taken pay cuts at Barcelona. Just such is the debt at that football club. And now you've got a situation where you might be seeing Griezmann leave and Barcelona having a strike force of Martin Braithwaite and Luke de Jong. I don't think they were expecting that when the season started. They were thinking Messi, Griezmann and Depay.
Goodness me. All right, thanks for that, Darms.
It's been extraordinary, hasn't it? Really has. A reunion then for Griezmann imminent at Atletico Madrid. Speaking of reunions, takes us to Everton, because Rafa Benitez is keen to hook up with a player he's had before. Vinny O'Connor can tell us more, but Vinny, the clock might be against them here, mightn't it?
Well, this is one deal that hasn't been done behind the scenes. It's effectively now a done deal. Everton are going to get Solomon Rondon. We just effectively await now the official announcement from Everton Football Club. But as you said, Jules, Rafa Benitez wanted to work with Solomon Rondon once again. It's an opportune moment for Everton as well. They needed to get another striker in after allowing Moise Kean to return to Juventus on a 2-year loan with an obligation to buy. Yes, obviously we know Richarlison can play through the middle and operate effectively as a backup to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But Everton wanted another option in there, and they are going to get Solomon Rondon as that option.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles is staying at Arsenal, it seems, Vinny. I mean, a right back is an area Everton seem to be looking. Any other business that could be done in that position before 11?
Well, it's looking like Rondon is going to be the only player that Everton get in on this deadline day. And, yeah, you mentioned the right-back area. Everton have been looking to get a right-back in probably the last 3 transfer windows now as cover and a possible successor to Seamus Coleman. They haven't been able to do that. And, again, it looks tonight that they failed in that regard as well. Obviously, things can change quickly and there could be some movement. But at the moment, it's looking very unlikely. We know that Ainsley Maitland-Niles was a target. He fit the bill for what Everton wanted as well, and it looked like a move that was possible when Maitland-Niles effectively was agitating for a move. It certainly looked like that with that Instagram post yesterday, but at the moment, with him obviously resolving his situation at Arsenal and staying put, Everton will have to make do with the cover that they already have here. Of course, they have someone like Ben Godfrey who can operate at full-back. He may be asked to cover at left-back again this season as well for Luca Dean, because obviously Everton have allowed Niels Nkuku to go on a season-long loan to Standard Liège today as well.
And let's just finish with a word on Liverpool. No new arrivals today, but a couple of significant signings of sorts.
Yeah, Liverpool have been mainly about keeping their squad together through this transfer window. There's been obviously a new deal for Reece Williams. He, though, immediately joined Swansea City on loan, but has committed his future to Liverpool until 2026. Nat Phillips as well has signed a new contract. He'll be there until 2025. But the biggest deal, obviously, was securing the future of captain Jordan Henderson. That deal will take him until the summer of 2025. He said today that he's obviously very honoured and proud to continue the journey that he's been on there. It's amazing to finally get the deal done and concentrate on looking forward to what the future may hold. He feels as hungry as he did to prove to people that he deserves to be at Liverpool Football Club, and of course only back in June he celebrated 10 years with Liverpool.
OK, Vinny, with the latest news from Merseyside, thanks very much indeed.
OK, stay with us. Plenty more to come your way. No doubt about the deal that matters most to Manchester United fans this deadline day, though. Cristiano Ronaldo is back.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Time to talk Ronaldo. He's dedicated his sensational return to Manchester United to Sir Alex Ferguson, and he says he's now back where he belongs. The club confirmed earlier today that he's signed a 2-year contract with the option to extend for a further year after agreeing a £19.7 million deal with Juventus. Of course, he's 36 years old now. And after the announcement, Ronaldo posted this message on social media. He said, "Everyone who knows me knows about my never-ending love for Manchester United. I can't start to explain my feelings right now as I see my return to Old Trafford announced worldwide. This is absolutely 100% the stuff that dreams are made of. History's been written in the past and history will be written once again. You have my word. I'm right here. Let's make it happen once again. P.S. Sir Alex, this one is for you."
Fantastic news for the club. Great that Ronaldo's coming back to his home, as we feel it is. And I think everybody's excited to see his debut. I remember when Eric Cantona came back to the club after his, let's call it a misdemeanor, when he had his incident in Crystal Palace, and the response and the reaction of the crowd when he played his first game, when he was able to play again, that was huge. But this is going to surpass that when Ronaldo makes his debut.
It's great because he's going to provide so much, let's say, a guarantee in terms of like team spirit, in terms of fighting spirit, or about the goals that he's going to provide because of his dedication. So he will really provide some benchmark for the young lads, like the Greenwood, Rashford, the Martial. All those players will benefit from that. So it's great. It's an amazing signing.
OK, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's added this. You run out of words to describe Cristiano. He's not only a marvellous player, but also a great human being. I've no doubt that he'll continue to impress us all, and his experience will be so vital for the younger players in the squad. Ronaldo's return demonstrates the unique appeal of this club, and I'm absolutely delighted he's coming home to where it all started. Ronaldo's been training with Portugal, of course, today for their World Cup qualifiers this week. He needs just one more goal to break Iran's Ali Dai's record of 109 senior international goals.
Forget his age, forget the name. We're talking about the guy who was the top goal scorer in Serie A last season. So that's who Manchester United are signing. So you think it should make a big difference to them. They've obviously added other players in other areas as well. So I think it's about time Manchester United were really fighting towards, bringing that title back to Old Trafford. He'll be a big example to everyone in that dressing room, not just the younger players. I think everyone in that Manchester United dressing room will be absolutely delighted and, buzzing to see Cristiano, training with him every day, seeing his habits, his good habits. To still be performing at that level at 36. This won't just be for the younger players in terms of Mason Greenwood at the club as an example. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is an example to every footballer.
I mean, the numbers for Ronaldo are absolutely astonishing, aren't they? Sam was just chatting to us about it, Dan. I mean, 783 goals in competitive matches in his career, which is the most, you won't be surprised to hear, in the history of the game. He scored 134 times in the Champions League. Yes, that's a record too, as is his record of 67 goals in the Champions League knockout stages alone. He's also got the most assists in the history of the Champions League, 42 of those. And as we just mentioned there, 109 international goals as well. That's a joint world record, but could be changed as soon as tomorrow when he plays Ireland if he scores against them. And he's got 9 hat-tricks for Portugal. That is also a world record for internationals.
That's not bad when he's competed against Messi in all those years either.
Yeah, good point. Redknapp thinks that Solskjaer is now under more pressure than ever, and this could be why. The Manchester United manager has spent £441 million since he succeeded Jose Mourinho at the end of 2018.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Jamie Redknapp very shortly as well. Manchester United have posted the first glimpse of him, though, back in the red shirt. He's set to make his second debut for the club a week on Saturday at home to Newcastle. But as of yet, still no confirmation if Ronaldo will be reclaiming the famous number 7 shirt. So look, we want to bring the boys in, of course, on this. And Merce, I'm interested to know your thoughts, because I know you were sort of saying on Soccer Saturday at the weekend, at 36, the age of 36 is a different prospect. Do you still stand by that? What do you think they're going to get from a Ronaldo at this age?
They'll get goals. They will get goals, because he is an athlete. You put the ball in the box and he will score you goals. And no doubt, what the Man United fans got to remember, this is not the Ronaldo who was embarrassing people at the highest level when he was 20, when he was last at United. I mean, Jimmy Bullard put up a post the other day about what he'd done to him on the pitch. That's not going to happen. He's not going to get the ball out wide, do four step overs, cut inside, beat 2 players and score. That's not going to happen. You know, what will happen is he will be up front. He's an unbelievable pro. He's been the best player in the world without a shadow of a doubt. You know, you've only got to look at his numbers. I can't wait to see him, but he's not going to be the same player. That's just obvious. Otherwise, Usain Bolt would still be running the 100. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? You know, it's all right, everybody going, oh, his physique's great, and everybody can keep themselves in shape. It's the legs. He's not going to be able to run past too many people, and that's the problem. They're going to say, you start front, we'll put the ball in the box, you've got to score. When they haven't got the ball, they've got 10 players. You know, you've got to remember, Juventus let him go. Juventus brought him in to win the Champions League. Last year, they didn't even win Serie A. I know people go to me, oh, he scored more goals than Lukaku. If I'm a Man United fan this season, I want Ronaldo to get 10 goals and Man United win the league, not Ronaldo get 25 goals and Man United come third. You know, you've got to put it in perspective. Lukaku got big goals in big football matches last season. That's why Inter Milan won the league. I'm a biggest fan. You know, what he's done with his career...
You would never guess, would you?
Never guess. I'm just trying to be realistic. You know, nobody gets better at that age. Nobody. And he set himself at that standard. Italy is not the Premier League. It's not the Premier League.
Chris, do you believe that? I mean, I know at 36 you look very similar to Ronaldo.
Sitting down, he does. Sitting down.
Want me to get the 6-pack out?
No, when someone with a waistcoat is struggling.
But, you know, I mean, Merce makes a good point there, but do you wholly believe that? Do you think he's going to...
Merce has never made a good point. Let's
I'll go start everybody off.
Look, I think that Merce is right to an extent in terms of you're not getting the same player. That's a given. But I think when you look at Cavani, would you rather have Ronaldo in the middle than Cavani? Yes. You know, so I think that the competition for places, he's not going to go wide. He's not going to go and take on players as Merce. But I think if you put the ball in the box, you want him in there. He's shown he's arguably the greatest finisher of all time. And he's shown that, you know, as Merce said there, like the step overs and the World Cup winners, and you know not scored in the World Cup winner, but in terms of the World Cup goals, the brilliant goals and everything, he's not going to get that. But what he will get is the 2-3 yard tap-ins that Manchester United have been missing for a number of years now. So I think that for me, I think it could be a very, very good signing. But I will say, and I think Gary Neville touched on it as well, the Glaziers, whenever it's back to the wall, they will produce a signing. This is a signing.
All right. OK, thanks, guys. We're going to get Sam's views in
just a minute. We'll do in a bit, because you were in charge of Bolton on the day he made his debut back in 2003. We'll hear from Sam about that later on. Yeah, rather not, but we will. Where are we? 1 hour, 16 minutes and a few seconds to go till the deadline closes. It's looking like a busy end of the window for Arsenal now. They've agreed a fee of just under £20 million with Bologna for defender Takehiro Tomiyasu, who's 22 years old. He's a Japan international. He can play at right back or in central defence. And it's a deal that has opened up potential departures from the club as well, including Hector Bellerin, who's having a medical before a move to Real Betis. Betis have agreed a loan with the option to then buy. His Arsenal deal is up in 2023.
But look, it appears Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be staying at Arsenal. You may remember his social media post yesterday publicly asking the club to let him leave, with the 3 crying emojis as well. Everton made a loan offer with an option to make it permanent, but he's had to clear the air talks with Mikel Arteta, and he'll remain at Arsenal until January at least. And Reece Nelson has been allowed to leave, though, on loan. He's joined Feyenoord on a season-long loan, but has extended his Arsenal contract by an extra year. And Arsenal keeper Alex Renarson is close to signing for Belgian club OH Leuven on loan. Talks are at an advanced stage.
Let's focus on Leeds now. They've recorded one of the biggest deals of the day so far when they signed Daniel James earlier for £25 million. There could be a departure, though. Let's head to Keith Downey, who can bring us the latest on all things Leeds. And Keith, at Adam Road, what are the details?
Yeah, Jules, it looks as though Helder Costa, the Portuguese forward, could be on his way out of Leeds United on loan. They're locked in talks with Valencia about a season-long loan move, and that obviously because Daniel James arrived here earlier in the day. What a whirlwind transfer that was of Daniel James, it must be said. Only yesterday was James made aware that he was pretty much surplus to requirements at Manchester United. Certainly, I think it'd be fair to say, he'd fallen down the pecking order because of the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo. Leeds made their move, agreed a fee very promptly last night, £25 million. He travelled up here, had his medical very quickly this morning, and he's already in Helsinki. He's joined back up with the Wales squad ahead of their friendly against Finland tomorrow night. So a £25 million signing done very swiftly. It's Leeds' second biggest incoming transfer of all time. I caught up with him earlier. He was very excited, looking forward to the future here and wanting to make up for the fact that he missed out on a move here 2 years ago in the dying embers of the transfer window. So James has arrived. He's obviously gone now, but he was here at Elland Road earlier, and Helder Costa, as a result of that, looks like he's going to be allowed to be loaned out to Valencia. We'll see if that one is pushed through before the deadline tonight.
OK, look, whilst we've got you, Keith, there's a transfer that won't be happening at Newcastle. What can you tell us about something that's not happening?
There's not been much happening at all for Newcastle really today. It was my understanding at the start of the day that Newcastle were pretty much done for incomings. There seems to have been some conflicting information throughout the media today that Hamza Chowdhury, the Leicester City midfielder, could be on his way to Newcastle. Now listen, he is a player that Steve Bruce has liked. You may remember he tried to bring him in the January transfer window on loan and was unable to back then. It was my understanding that Newcastle could only bring a player in today if they were able to get one out. There was some chatter at one stage that Emil Kraft could be on his way to Fulham. It's my understanding he wasn't up for that move, and because of that, Newcastle have their 25-man Premier League squad intact. So that means that Hamza Chowdhury or anyone else that Steve Bruce was keen on was unable to come. So Steve Bruce will be disappointed. He would have wanted to add one or two on top of the £25 million the club have splashed out on Joe Willock. They've not been able to do that, and he'll have to make do with what he's got.
OK, brilliant stuff as always. Thanks, Keith.
An hour and 12 minutes to go. Wolves have desperately been trying to strengthen their attacking options today. We'll have an update next.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
We are coming up to the final stages of the transfer deadline with WhatsApp View Once, and I'm only joined by Arsenal legend Paul Merson. Now, listen, Paul, I don't think I'm going to make any, assumptions here. Are you happy with Arsenal's transfer window?
Only time will tell. Only time will tell. I do like Ben White. I think it's not his problem. They paid a lot of money for him, but I do like him. I think he's a good player. Yeah. The goalie, I'm not sure about.
Yeah,
Ramsdale. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's letting more goals than any other goalie in the country over the last
stat to
3.
Have as well.
Yeah, that is a bad
stat.
I mean, and I'm in that, and he's letting more than me. I mean, it'll be time to tell. My only problem with Arsenal is they buy players, but they never beat anybody to a player. Yeah. You know, I mean, no one else is after that player, are they? It's like, the man was just telling me there about the lad from Bologna. Yeah. Now, the first thing that comes in my head is he's a right back, 23 million euros from Bologna. Why Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan not buying him?
Lazio,
and Lazio, Roma.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I don't get that. I don't get it. It's bad business. You know, all of a sudden now they've let William go.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of
Please don't tell me Williams did not get paid to leave.
Well, William actually said,
I'm going to sacrifice my 20 million.
And that says a lot, don't you think? I mean, look, 20 million is a lot of money. I would love that club in my pocket.
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm getting a lot of exclusive messages here on WhatsApp, some good, some bad, about the fact that Tomiyasu also was offered to Premier League clubs and only Arsenal took him.
You know, Arsenal need a right back, in my opinion. They're desperate for a right back, so hopefully he'll be a hit. Yeah. Hopefully he will. You know, let's wait and see. I mean, 23 million in this day and age is not a lot of money. If I'm being honest, I'm not, being disrespectful. Yeah, he might be a corker. He might be brilliant. You know, let's wait and see. 23 million ain't going to break the bank for Arsenal. Yeah, but at the same time, he's going to be coming into a struggling defence that are leaking goals left, right, and centre.
Haven't scored either as well. But anyway, that's not a stat I need to say. But
are you an Arsenal fan?
No, look, I'm a neutral. I'm a neutral. Quickly, let's touch on Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
What's your views on the big man coming back to United?
I'm pleased he's come back. Of course, you know, what you want to see, he was the best player in the world, or he's one of the best players in the world. Yeah. He's 36 now.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to be a party pooper here, but this is not the Ronaldo that was here ripping people and making people look that big. Yeah. You know, Jimmy Bullard, who's a great lad, and could get around the pitch. Jimmy, he was a
classy player.
And look what he was doing to Jimmy.
Yeah.
I hope Man United fans are not thinking that Ronaldo's coming back and doing that, because that is never.
Some United fans have been texting me saying, you know, he was the highest goal scorer in La Liga last season. I mean, La Liga Serie A last season. So
no, I agree with that. But who won the league?
And that's it for today with Paul Merson.
No,
and
there's another one as well. There's another one. Man United hold the record for the most games without losing away from home. But they haven't won anything. So how's that a record? What's the point in having the record?
We did beat Arsenal's record.
Well, yeah, but Arsenal won the league when they got the record. Man United have got the record without even looking like winning the league.
Last time Arsenal won the league, I wasn't allowed to be in this building. But anyway, I've been Harry Pinero, he's been Paul Merson. WhatsApp View Once. See you later, guys.
Good old Merce there. Look, we're running out of time, fast running out of time, so let's go quickly. 30 seconds. Michael Bridge, you promised us some breaking news. What have you got?
And we've delivered, Vicky. Crystal Palace have signed Odsonne Edouard. It's a 4-year deal they've announced. So Crystal Palace have got their striker, Odsonne Edouard. I know you've got to go, but there's a lovely picture here of him holding the Stone Roses. Why? I want to be Edouard. Done deal.
I just apologise on behalf of everybody at Sky Sports News for what you just heard. Thank you very much indeed, Bridgie. So they've delivered. Crystal Palace have a new striker. Are Chelsea going to get a new midfielder in the door from Spain? Saul is the man, but will they get the deal done in time? Stay with us to find out. With 1 hour to go now until the transfer window shuts, Chelsea are racing to sign Saúl Ñíguez from Atletico Madrid.
After a difficult start to the season, Arsenal are closing in on the defender Takehiro Tomiyasu from Bologna, and that could have big implications for Hector Bellerin.
In the last few minutes, Patrick Vieira has claimed his 7th summer signing at Crystal Palace. Celtic striker Odsonne Edouard has signed a 4-year deal.
Everton close to signing former Newcastle and West Brom striker Salomon Rondon, but will there be any further additions before the deadline?
And Antoine Griezmann is returning to Atletico Madrid after they agree an initial loan deal with Barcelona with an obligation to then buy him for £34.4 million. Good evening. Welcome along to Sky Sports News as the clock ticks down to 11 o'clock. Less than an hour to go now. Stay with us for every deal as it happens.
Yeah, please do, because we've also got the full story of one of the most incredible stories of any deadline day, as PSG reject a near world record bid from Real Madrid for Kylian Mbappe. Instead, he'll walk away on a free transfer. Plus, Cristiano Ronaldo is back in the red of Manchester United as he dedicates his return to Sir Alex Ferguson. But will he reclaim the famous number 7 shirt?
And Tottenham signed defender Emerson Royal from Barcelona for €30 million, while Harry Kane breaks his silence on the big move that didn't happen.
OK, so 57 minutes left of this deadline day. Let's start with Chelsea in Carve Solokol, because are they going to bring in a new midfielder?
Well, look, Chelsea have agreed a deal to sign Saúl Ñíguez on loan from Atletico Madrid, but time is running out to get all the paperwork done. The player, Chelsea and Atletico are all in agreement. Everybody's working hard to get this deal done in the next 57 minutes. Chelsea are going to pay €4 million as a loan fee, and then they've got this option to sign him permanently next summer for €35 million. I'm told the player is not flying to London tonight. He's in Madrid. The deal can be done in Madrid. Another bit of Chelsea news, of course, we know they put in this offer for Jules Koundé, the Sevilla centre-back, €50 million. That was rejected. Sevilla wanted closer to his €80 million release clause. Chelsea are not going to pay that, so it doesn't look like they'll be getting Jules Koundé, but they've got 57 minutes to do this deal for Saúl Ñíguez.
So they might not get Koundé, but Sal Allardyce, it sounds like, well, we know they've got Lukaku. Sal may well come in as well. You look at Chelsea now, I know they're European champions, but could they be Premier League champions?
I think that in improving the squad, again, when you've let Zuma go and you've not replaced him, is why they wanted to sign Koundé. And that could be a big telling factor, because his basic success was built on the defensive quality that they proved last year that obviously Frank couldn't find. But he found that defensive quality to Chelsea straight away, which stood him in the good stead. I think they probably had the best defensive record, apart from perhaps Manchester City, in his tender. And I think that is why they did so well and why they won the Champions League. Injuries in that area now may make them a little bit more difficult, but certainly the rest of the squad. And Lukaku, where it was goals missing up front last year, they've got that obviously leading goal scorer, or hopefully leading goal scorer, to put that in right. But defensively, if they suffer a few injuries, I just wondered how they were going with a cover on the centre half.
Yeah, Zuma's gone, isn't he?
Zuma's gone, and
so
he was going to be the replacement. Yes. Young, up and coming centre forward, got a lot of quality in Spain, got a big reputation in Spain. Would have been ideal, but unfortunately that hasn't happened for him.
Yeah, how impressed have you been by Tuchel?
Massively, apart from the fact that when you walk into a new job, not knowing the players. But I mean, it just shows you how well Chelsea had recruited before he got here. Because everything about being a manager is the quality of your player. And then you see something that the other manager didn't see. Frank, more attacking minded. The Tuchel more defensive minded, suited Chelsea better. End up, going straight up the league, winning the Champions League. So, quality players were signed by Chelsea prior to he got here, which is what we were talking about before, where us managers, we are not managers anymore, we're head coaches. We don't have the say like we used to. We don't have the ultimate decision on players being bought and sold anymore.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit more about that, but I will save it for later. Thanks, Sam. Look, The eagle-eyed amongst you will have watched Kaveh Solokol rudely leave the set just a few minutes ago, but Darmesh is in his seat, and you came in very politely.
Very politely.
So, look, you're going to tell us about the situation at Arsenal. What you got for us?
Yeah, so as far as incomings are concerned, I mean, the focus was on outgoings on this deadline day, but they are close to making a signing. A €23 million deal has been agreed with Bologna for their defender Takahiro Tomiyasu. It's broken down into €20 million initial fee plus €3 million in add-ons. The medical is done. The contracts are signed on a 4-year contract. We are now simply waiting an announcement. Now, I've spoken to someone close to Arsenal to say, look, should we be worried? Is this deal going to happen or not? There's every confidence and every expectation that this one will be announced before the deadline.
OK, so what about the departures that have happened, could happen, would happen, should happen, whatever? You get my point.
Today, Reece Nelson went to Feyenoord on a 1-year loan deal. He actually signed an extension to his Arsenal contract because he's entered the final year, so that once he comes back from Feyenoord, if he's played well, he can either reignite his Arsenal career or Arsenal can maintain some sort of value for him.
Yeah.
Alex Runnison, a 1-year loan to the Belgian club OH Leuven. That one has been done. Hector Bellerin, that one is close to Real Betis, and in fact Real Betis on their social media channels are starting to tease something, that something is about to happen as they do, and Hector Bellerin should be announced before the deadline as well. That is a 1-year loan. Then there's the story of Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Yesterday was quite eventful because Everton went in with an offer, a loan with an option. Now, Arsenal decided that the option was too low, and they said to Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you are going to stay at the club now in this transfer window. Ainsley Maitland-Niles then released that Instagram post. Not the best thing to do. Arsenal were not happy. Mikel Arteta had clear the air talks with him today, and we know that he's a key member of their squad, but they were willing to listen to offers for him at the beginning of the summer. They have reiterated that he is a key member of their squad. They've cleared the air with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and they're hopeful now that they can move forward with Maitland-Niles playing a key role in this season. Now, I just remember back in the last transfer window, Ainsley Maitland-Niles left on deadline day. We thought, could that happen again? And there's a gentleman here who actually signed him on deadline day for West Bromwich Albion. It's just a question for you, Sam. You've seen what's happened with Ainsley today. Do you think he can force his way into first-team reckoning for Arsenal this season?
Well, the problem with Ainsley is his position. And his position, as everybody has alluded to at fullback, is wrong. His position, and his only position that he wants to play in, his number one position, is centre midfield. And has always maintained that throughout his career, he tells me. So he filled in as a fullback when asked to, and obviously filled in very well because I think he played for England at fullback. But his favourite position is centre midfield, which he rarely got at Arsenal under Arsene Wenger and anybody else. The reason he came to West Brom, which he forced through, by the way, Edu and Mikel Arteta didn't want him to come, was the fact that I spoke to him and said, you will play midfield. You will play midfield through every game that you fit, as long as you play well, as long as you warrant your place. So he came to West Brom, and I was surprised we got him on the last day. It had been going on for 3 weeks this way, though. It started 3 weeks before that, and it was in the end, it was him convincing Edu and Mikel Arteta that he wanted to join West Brom. They didn't want him to come. He did. He finally got his own way. I was very grateful for that because that wouldn't normally happen. A player would normally buckle under that pressure and stay where he was. But the key thing about coming to West Brom was we were playing him in midfield where he loves to play.
So from what you've seen and what you saw of him at West Brom, how good is he in that position, and can he be a regular in that position for Arsenal this season?
Well, based on what I've seen at this moment in time, yes, I think that he's got more experience than a lot of the problem for him is there's a lot of the younger players in ahead of him and playing on a more regular basis, which has to be massively frustrating for him. So I think he deserves, on the time he's been at Arsenal, coming through as a kid, he deserves the opportunity to play there. But he must perform at the highest level for Arsenal if he gets an opportunity. So if not, then obviously I think Arsenal and him will part company probably in January if it doesn't work between now and then.
OK, let's get more on this.
A great lad, by the way. Good lad.
Let's get more with... I'm going to bring Merce in straight here because I don't know whether you're concentrating on what we're saying, but it's good to see you looking in the opposite direction, Merce. But anyway, pay attention over here, please. Look, Obviously, Arsenal, bottom of the table at the moment. They haven't scored. They haven't won a game. They've spent a lot of money. Is it money well spent? Will it be money well spent, do you think?
Well, they're definitely going to move up the table. So I think their season starts when they come back from international break, with the fixtures coming up, or winnable games, or they will have to win them games. There's no doubt about that. And then I think he'll probably... Mikel Arteta or have till the October international. I think if they haven't done it by then, I think he'll be under severe pressure. I think that's common sense. I think when you're spending that kind of money, these players have to perform. Chelsea, Man City, would I expect Arsenal to beat them? No. Is there ways of getting beat against them? Yes. And the Man City game wasn't a good way. I mean, Xhaka knows he shouldn't do what he does. It's 2-0. Thing with that one, though, the fans are on their way home and they go, if we all had 11 Xhakas, we'd be all right. Well, they wouldn't. He got sent off and he sold them up the river. So, for me, time will tell. But at the moment, Arsenal are middle of the table. I think middle of the table. I think if they come 5th or 6th, I think they're pulling up trees. I really do. I think 10th is about right.
10th, yeah, they finished
I don't think they finish above Leicester. I definitely don't think they finish above Tottenham now Harry Kane signed. I thought they would before Kane signed, but I don't think they would now. I mean, you look at Everton with Rafa now, they're going to be organised, hard to beat. West Ham look decent. It's going to be hard. It's not as easy as what it used to be. It's not a free ride anymore where you go, top 4, 5 or 6. These other teams now are buying good players. You look at Aston Villa, they got Danny Ings. Why not Arsenal got Danny Ings? Why are they not going by Danny Ings? So there's a lot to do. I worry about the recruitment. I worry about that. I said it earlier on the podcast. Arsenal are never beating anybody. I never see the lads on here going, Arsenal have just nipped Man United or someone to sign in a player. They're the only team that are after this player every time. There's nobody else ever after the players.
Paul Merson, director of football.
I tell you what, I'd do a better job.
There we go. There's an exclusive. Get the phone out and check that one.
Chris,
Paul Merson to Arsenal.
I would. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you now.
We would miss you in soccer Saturday, though, mate. We would miss you.
I could do both. I could mix both.
Chris, I want to bring you in.
Arsenal should be playing on Sundays. If you're a successful football team, you're playing Sundays. You're not playing Saturdays at 3 o'clock.
Chris, let me bring you in because, we speculate on Arteta, but if you give a manager £150 million to spend, which is more than any other manager has had in the whole of Europe this summer, you surely therefore have to give him some time to try and make it work, don't you?
Well, I think, when we see it with Manchester United, when you're chopping and changing as well, I think you've got to give this an opportunity. But, when you can't keep losing games of football. It's impossible. And I know, I've listened to Mersk go on about it loads and loads now. Where is Arsenal's identity? You can go and spend money, but it's not as if... I look at Ben White, he's a good football player. But Arsenal, in their history, their tradition has been big, powerful, aggressive defenders. You played in teams that's what it was built on. I don't see that. I don't see it. And, it's the same problems that are occurring over and over again. They're worse than when they were when Mikel Arteta took over. Because I think a lot of people gave them credit in terms of the way they didn't go toe-to-toe with the big ones. They won the FA Cup. They didn't go toe-to-toe with them. And, the old Arsenal way will just attack. Mikel Arteta was getting a lot of praise for sitting off and being a hard unit to break down. And now you look at it, that's just gone. I don't know what's happened inside, a short period of time, but I'm looking forward to the future because if this man can get in there as a director of football, they will be challenging for the Champions League. He's back.
I'm not asking a lot. I do it for nothing. I do it for nothing.
You do it for nothing. Well, you've got that exclusive here first.
I want Tony Adams with me, though.
We'll get him on the phone. We'll get him on the phone.
What, doing that coaching session?
Why not? They know the club. They love the club. Why don't you get someone in who...
Give us a move.
Right, we're going to move on because these two will talk all night and we haven't got all night because we've only got 45 minutes left of this deadline day. So look, let's get some breaking news.
I need to get on the phone and buy a couple of players
He's
now.
still going, honestly, you couldn't make it out. Possible departure from Tottenham. Paul Gilmore, get us out of this.
Vicky, Tottenham announced the signing earlier of Emerson Royal. It left them very right-back heavy. Well, they may be able to solve that problem. We also told you earlier if there was a departure today from Tottenham, that likely departure would be Serge Aurier, and that is the way this one is playing out. We're being told that Tottenham and Serge Aurier are in talks this evening over a mutual contract termination, and if agreed, he would become a free transfer, and obviously then he could join another club beyond tonight's deadline. So if that is successful and this is a mutual contract termination, it would bring to an end Serge Aurier's 4 years here at Tottenham. That's the news we've got, and we'll keep you right across that as the evening develops.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Paul.
Right, let's head to Crystal Palace. Sam just making a very good point that there's been no speculation about Wilfried Zaha in this window.
No.
He's staying put, and now he's got a striker who'll be playing alongside him that's hopefully, from a Palace perspective, bang the goals in. Michael Bridge, tell us more.
Yeah, Sam is absolutely right, Jules. It's been a good window for Crystal Palace. We've said for the last few days that the striker today is the priority, and Odsonne Edouard is that striker who's coming. And everyone's wondering, why has it taken so long? Well, you wait till you see Crystal Palace's announcement video. It's good, and now I know why it took that long. Let's run through Palace's transfers quickly. I like a little wrap-up. Mark Gurry from Chelsea, good defender. Joachim Anderson, defence, sorted. Michael Elise, really highly regarded player. Will Hughes in from Watford. Conor Gallagher, what a player. 2 goals against West Ham on Saturday. And then Edouard, hopefully the icing on the cake for Palace. Remember the first team players they've lost, Jules? Townsend, Sacco, Gary Cahill, Scott Dan, James McCarthy, Conor Wickham, and my old mate Patrick Van Arnholt. So it's pretty much a new team. Wow, a lot of players have gone out, but Patrick Vieira will be delighted he's got Edouard and Zaha. As you've mentioned, he's staying. I didn't mention Zaha once this summer. Good day for Palace.
Yeah, plenty of incomings, quite a few outgoings at Palace, lots of experience gone through the door, but we'll see what happens. Michael, thank you very much indeed, and let's just bring you some reaction from inside Crystal Palace, because Steve Parish has put this out on social media just a few moments ago. He said, nice to be able to welcome Odsonne Edouard from Celtic in person. There we are, a handshake as he completed that deal. The last of some great additions this summer, is the way that Parish puts it. Thanks to everyone involved at Palace for their hard work. A short break, then looking forward to seeing them all in action.
Talking of short breaks, we're going to take one now, because that clock is ticking down. 42 minutes left. We're going to get on the phone to Tony Adams. Plus, Kylian Mbappe has not moved this window, but it looks like there will be one shot transfer in La Liga on deadline day.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
extraordinary window continues tonight with less than, 38 minutes to go. Another huge name that could also make a move tonight. I'm looking at you, Dars, because you've got all the answers for me. Antoine Griezmann, what can you tell?
This is incredible. This window, I've never seen anything like it, to be honest.
Remarkable.
I mean, the big names that have moved, the big names that threatened to move, and the big names that didn't move, it just keeps going. And as you mentioned there, at about 8:20, Sky in Italy reported that Atletico Madrid were in talks to re-sign the Barcelona striker, Antoine Griezmann. I know, incredible. We were reporting that on the transfer show. A contact of mine was watching the transfer show and I got a text from him saying that it's done. And then Sky in Italy have since said that the deal is done. We're still waiting for official confirmation. A loan plus an obligation. The obligation is at €40 million for Antoine Griezmann. The contact of mine also said that Barcelona's #1 target is Sevilla striker Luuk de Jong. And he said that that is 99% done. And since then, Sky in Italy have said that they are working on a deal to sign Luuk de Jong from Sevilla. I think this highlights in particular Barcelona's finances. Messi, they couldn't afford his wages. Griezmann, he's on high wages. They're trying to offload him as well. Gerard Piqué as well. He took a pay cut. And I think that just illustrates the situation that Barcelona find themselves in, from the fans looking forward to a season where Messi, Griezmann and Depay were going to be playing together. It could potentially be Luuk de Jong and Braithwaite up front for them this season.
It's amazing. Sam, what do you make of this deal? I mean, Antoine Griezmann.
Well, I think it's purely financial, about reducing the salaries of the players that are arguably the length of the contracts and the size of the salaries are equally and in sometimes more than the actual transfer fee. So the financial commitment with the salaries on top of the actual price that they're paying is astronomical. So when it comes to financial crisis, top players have to be seen to be reducing the financial burden on the club. Doesn't please the fans, doesn't please anybody at Barcelona, of course, but a responsibility on the football director, the director of football, under enormous pressure from the fans. To still deliver Barcelona's results and the quality of football they like, but it's going to be a transitional period for them now. Yeah. They'll have to put that finances right and then try to rebuild. But how quick they can rebuild will very much depend on one, the quality of their recruitment, and two, how quick will it be before they have some financial resources to actually go out and spend on the sort of player Barcelona need.
What would you be feeling if you were Ronald Koeman right now?
Not very good, because he'll carry the can.
Yeah.
Because when the results don't come, and it will be no fault of his own, as hard as Ronald will try, as much as he will give to try and get Barcelona's results, if they fail, then the fans will turn on him. And when they turn on you over there in Real Madrid or in Barcelona, then you're normally the first out the door, unfortunately.
Sam, thanks for now. Just quick line, staying in Spain, by the way, it looks like Hector Bellerin's move to Real Betis is effectively done. It's not been confirmed, but Betis have tweeted in the last few minutes one of these cryptic pictures, but there is Bellerin in a zip-up green Betis top, so it's, effectively... I say cryptic, it's not cryptic, it's pretty blatant, isn't it? But they haven't yet confirmed it, but I think any moment now will be confirming that he has left Arsenal and has returned to Spain. From Arsenal to Wolves, the last time we spoke to Anton Tolui, he told us Wolves were in talks to sign 2 players, but I think a bit's changed since then. What are the latest developments, Anton?
Absolutely, Jules. Wolves were hoping to bring in Kiefer Moore from Cardiff and Boubacar Kamara from Marseille. Both deals, though, are off. Now, Wolves didn't want to meet Cardiff's £12 million valuation of Kiefer Moore, so that deal was off pretty quickly. Boubacar Kamara also valued at around £12 million by Marseille, but he's a future free agent. They can talk to him for free in January, so again, Wolves pulling out of that one quite late on. They also tried to get a deal over the line for Renato Sanchez earlier in the day from Lille, but again, they couldn't agree a loan deal for that one. The interesting thing is, though, they are keeping Adama Traore, despite heavy interest from Tottenham, but I'm told the maximum Tottenham Hotspur bid for Traore was £30 million, £20 million short of Wolves' valuation. Now Adama Traore will stay a Wolves player. Wolves hope to persuade him to sign a new contract and start talks with him soon. That is all up to the player, of course, whether he wants to commit his long-term future to the club, but his short-term future is at Wolves. He remains a Wolverhampton Wanderers player.
He's assistant goalie.
Thank you, Anton.
Goodness me, we expected this one to be a very quiet window, but it's been anything but. That clock is ticking behind us. As you can see now, 33 minutes left, and so many clubs still with plenty of business to do. So stay with us, because we will guide you through, right through to deadline.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Well, let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, who's dedicated his sensational return to Manchester United to Sir Alex Ferguson, and he says he is now back, quote, where he belongs. Let's head live to his new old home, Old Trafford, and join Ben Ransom, who's there. Ben, I mean, it's an incredible return, isn't it? What more do you know about the details of the deal itself?
Yeah, it is a quite incredible return, and he's not due to land here in Manchester for at least another week, but there is huge excitement, and you're absolutely right. Cristiano Ronaldo himself talking about it as a dream come true, back home. He's spoken about his never-ending love for Manchester United fans, and also, as you say, paying tribute to Sir Alex Ferguson, a reference to a telephone conversation they had on Friday night ahead of this move. So Cristiano Ronaldo will rejoin for around €15 million up front. That could be increased by another €8 million in a achievable add-ons. But there's real excitement here, and you have to say it's been a pretty remarkable window for Manchester United. Net spend around £100 million. They've brought in a lot of experience, and they brought in some talented youth as well in the form of Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, Tom Heaton comes back to the club as well, and of course Ronaldo. Did a bit of totting up. That's 7 extra league titles, 8 Champions League titles, a Nations League, a European Championships, and a World Cup, all added in terms of experience to this squad for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There was some talk on deadline day we might see a couple more departures, the likes of Jesse Lingard, maybe Anthony Martial, Edinson Cavani. I'm told, though, that's not going to happen. Business is done here at Manchester United, and I think they're pretty happy with what they have managed to achieve, not least one of the greatest players of all time coming back to this club.
Yeah, Ben, thank you very much indeed. Ben Ransom at Old Trafford there. Darmish, we saw the publicity shots of Ronaldo, the front of his shirt. We didn't see the back of his shirt. He's CR7. Will he be?
Well, Manchester United did a TikTok video. I think that's what you guys...
I wouldn't have a clue.
And it just showed, as you can see on your screen now, it just shows the back of the shirt and it shows the name Ronaldo, but not the number. Now, you have to have special Premier League dispensation to be able to change Premier League squad numbers during a season. Now, I think Manchester United are looking into the possibility of doing that. But if you look at what's happened, Daniel James was number 21. He's left for £25 million to Leeds United. Edinson Cavani currently holds a number 7 shirt. Guess what number Edinson Cavani wears for Uruguay?
21.
21.
Yeah.
That would leave, if they could get this special dispensation, the number 7 shirt free for Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's still possible. Saturday, September the 11th, when Ronaldo makes his second debut for Manchester United, it could indeed be CR7.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, Sam. Look, you know, obviously this makes kind of financial sense. They haven't got him for the long term. I mean, my question, I guess, I was actually with Ollie on Friday in a press conference asking him the questions when we were all thinking he was going to City, saying, well, you know, wouldn't United be interested in him at all? Ollie's saying no. Apparently the deal was pretty much already done. So my question is,
what, for City?
No, for United.
United,
it was already done. But Ollie at 1 o'clock told me that no, he's still a Juventus player. I thought, well, actually, he's left Juventus already, and you know, he's said goodbye. My question, I guess, to you, Sam, is that how much did Ollie get involved in this? Do you think? Do you think this was more of a kind of a deal that they thought this financially United need him? This is the share price just went up and up and up.
Well, absolutely. I think that it's as big. It is big financially for the football club and branding, as I talked before, and they will tenfold make more money on whatever Ronaldo costs on the goods and on the promotions throughout the world, on the sponsorships. So that wouldn't be a problem how much they're paying Ronaldo and how much they've had to pay for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ollie's way up is that sentimentally, it's 100% I want him. Manager-wise, physically, what can he give us and what will he provide better than we've already got? And he has obviously weighs that up and has said and has gone along with the transfer. I think that transfer's a position to you now, not as a manager anymore. As I said before, you're a head coach. These decisions are presented to you, and you have a say. You don't have the final say very often.
But look, just that we just said about Ronald Koeman, the pressure now, because Cristiano Ronaldo's come in the door, is on Ollie. Ollie,
yeah, but he has nothing to lose.
He
has nothing to lose and everything to gain, unless Cristiano Ronaldo is a disaster, and then he'll carry the can. It won't be the boys upstairs and the director of football that said it was me, or it was on they're not coaching him right, he's not being used right. You get all that nonsense that comes down. That's why the manager's job, however much they get paid, they're worth every single penny of it, believe you me. So, massive pressure. This is Manchester United. This is the biggest and the most pressurised job, as well as probably Real Madrid. After that, maybe Barcelona, but those three are the top three in terms of pressure. And I think that Ollie has, for such a young manager, has dealt with it massively well. But when it comes to signings, it's the be-all and end-all of whether it doesn't matter how good a manager you are. If you sign the wrong players, you won't succeed. You get the sack. How in control are you and sign them players? Not very often now. Just the way we've managed to convert over the last 10 years from the European style. It's nearly all the way through into England now, and obviously you wouldn't get Sir Alex Ferguson managing Man United like that.
No.
He wouldn't be able to cope. So learning to live with it, as I have on the last 10 years, is something you have to guide yourself through, because you're starting off and saying, I want to be in control, and as the time's gone by, you're in less control now. Ollie hasn't had that. It's been like this from day one for him. So he's accepted that as, he called the manager, but really the head coach.
Just briefly, let's take you back to 2003. You were the first manager to, face him.
No.
With Bolton.
Yes.
The step-overs, young Ronaldo.
Yeah.
What are your standout memories of
came on
facing
a sub, and I had a cup of tea with Sir Alex before the game in his office, and he goes, "Hey, Sam, this lad here, he's good, you know." And of course we saw him come on as a sub, and he was playing again. I think we were losing at the time anyway, but he was playing against a young fullback at the time called Nicky Hunt, I think it was, and I felt sorry for Nicky when he came off, you know. So he came on and just dazzled straight. And I said to Sir Alex after, "You look like you've got a real player there for Manchester United," and it's the way and how quick he developed, and I think that was Man United, not just the management style, but also the players that were at Man United moulded Ronaldo into, stopped him doing all those footovers all the time, every time, and started to model him into when and where to do it. And then, of course, the goals. I mean, he might play centre forward now, but he was never a centre forward at, at Manchester United, or at Real Madrid. He played off the wide, played off the right or the left, and still scored in one season, scored 62 goals at Real Madrid. Manchester United's best record 42. And this is not, you expect your centre forward like Harry Kane to do those, not your wide player.
No.
18 years he's back there. Incredible, isn't it? Thank you, Sam, for now.
Yes.
By the way, just to let you know, you'll have seen it, Hector Bellerin, that's been confirmed now. He's on loan at Real Betis from Arsenal for the season.
OK, just under 22 minutes left of this window. We're still waiting for confirmation of Rafa Benitez's reunion with Solomon Rondon. Vinny O'Connor is at Everton's training. What have you got for us, Vinny?
Everton are done for the day, and what that means is Solomon Rondon is their one signing on deadline day. We still await that official announcement, as you say, Vicky, but we've said throughout today that Rafa Benitez was keen to work with him, and this is why, because Rafa Benitez believes he's hard-working. Rondon knows he's coming in as backup to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he'll show the right attitude. That's certainly the thinking of Rafa Benitez, and will therefore provide a genuine option for Everton up top as well. So Solomon Rondon will get done. We await that official confirmation, but as I say, that's the one piece of business that Everton will be doing in terms of incomings. We know that they were looking to bring in a right back. We know about the link with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. That, of course, didn't come off. We know as well about another potential attacking option in Luis Diaz from Porto. But the fact that they weren't able to cut a deal, what that also means is that James Rodriguez will be staying. And, of course, Evertonians will finally get to see him live at Goodison Park, at least at some point this season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Vinny.
Right, 20 minutes just over to go. Brighton have signed a former Barcelona player today. Their business didn't end there either. Gail Davis can wrap up the details for us. Hi, Gail.
Yeah, two signings on deadline day for Brighton. Marc Cucurella, he arrived from Getafe, 23-year-old left-back. Brighton triggered that release clause with just over £15 million to bring him. He has represented Spain before, most recently at the Olympics in Tokyo. And then Abdullah Sima arrived from Slavia Prague. 6.7 million for him. I say arrived, he hasn't quite arrived. He's away with Senegal at the moment, but he's going to be on loan at Stoke for the rest of the season. Remarkable story. 2 years ago, playing in the 5th tier of French football. He's only been a pro for 18 months. So the club decided the best course of action was to let him play on rainy evenings on Wednesdays at Stoke. Get him acclimatised to football before he comes back. Look, in terms of departures, I think, we know about Ben White early on in the summer. Yves Bissouma, a bit of talk around him maybe going. A lot of interest, but we understand no bids. And I think most Brighton fans will think that maybe keeping him is potentially the best bit of business they've managed to do this August.
Thanks, Gail. Our director agrees with you, by the way. He's a big Brighton fan.
Yeah, Emily loves it. OK, look, Leeds recorded one of the biggest deals of the day, signing Daniel James for £25 million. But there could be a departure. Keith Downey, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Vicky, one in, one almost out as far as Leeds are concerned this transfer deadline day. It's the Portuguese winger Helder Costa who is close to a loan move to Valencia. I do expect that one to go through shortly. The recruitment team here at Ellen Road still working away furiously behind the scenes to try and push that one through. But you mentioned Daniel James, and it was the biggest transfer probably today. I think you might be able to correct me on that, but £25 million Leeds splashed out for the Manchester United winger, a long-term target of Marcelo Bielsa. He's been desperate to sign him for the best part of 3 years now. He finally got his man after making a late move for him last night. £25 million, 5-year contract. He can't wait to get started here. Bielsa can't wait to start working with him. So James in, it looks like Costa could be a late one going out.
Thanks, Keith.
Keith, thanks very much indeed. Right, so where are we? 18 minutes exactly to go till the window shuts. Chelsea are in a race against time to bring in this man, Saúl Ñíguez, the Atletico Madrid midfielder. Will he get in on loan on time? We'll know in 18 minutes from now.
We're all in. We're all in to kick it out.
I'm going to do a Klopp wow because there's 14 minutes left of this window. Let's get to the news that we've been speaking about all day, and it involves Kylian Mbappe. Carve's on the set now to talk more about it. Just remind us of what's happened today and how this deal has developed or not developed.
Well, look, basically, we had the extraordinary situation where Real Madrid made this offer, 170 million euros plus 10 in add-ons, and they gave PSG a deadline of 5 p.m. yesterday to accept or reject the offer. PSG didn't stick to that deadline, didn't respond to them. Real Madrid walked away last night. Now, I was told that the Real Madrid president would sleep on it. There was a chance that they would go back in this morning, and they did go back in today. Some of the main players in the deal flew to Paris to try and get it done, and I was told that Real Madrid were prepared to pay more than 220 million euros for Kylian Mbappe today. Almost a world record fee. The world record is £198 million for Neymar, but PSG would not sell him. And at about 6 o'clock this evening, Real Madrid thought, you know what, we've had enough. PSG are dragging their feet. They're not negotiating with us properly. We're walking away. The deal is off. We will try and sign Mbappe on a pre-contract agreement in January because we know we can get him for nothing in the summer. Obviously, that's a risk now because other clubs could come in for him as well. But extraordinary situation where we have had PSG effectively turn down almost £200 million for a player who's out of contract next summer.
OK, look, I want to get Chris Boyd's thoughts on this. Chris, you know, this is a remarkable situation of a player that's kind of said he wants to go and has been stopped by a team that basically said we can afford to lose £180 million. What are your thoughts?
It was more ridiculous, to be fair. Real Madrid offering the 200 million for somebody that's out of contract next year, or you know, they're knocking it back. But it just shows you that PSG, they've got deeper pockets than Merce. But, you know, but you know, I think that they're obsessed. They're obsessed. They want to win the Champions League, and if they're going to do that, they're going to have to keep Mbappe. We were actually just speaking about it there. When you watch the game the other night there, Neymar looks as if he's off it. Messi's obviously still world class, but he's going to take a little bit of time to get up to speed. And Mbappe is their main threat, and without him, you know, I don't think they'll have a chance of winning that Champions League. So you can understand when money's no object to them why they want to keep him.
How worrying is it, though, Paul? Because this all trickles down, you know, to the lower leagues. The fact that this is a team that's saying, you know, how worried should we be that a team can refuse this sort of money, you know, and that doesn't affect them? Because it does affect the rest of the teams, you know, lower down.
I mean, at the end of the day, they want to win the Champions League. I mean, it's the be and end all for PSG, and that's a prime statement. To turn down that kind of money, the only reason they're turning that down is to win the Champions League this year. And without Mbappe, they are not winning the Champions League this year. I mean, with him, they might not win it, but they definitely got a chance. I watched them the other night, and he has to be there. And they've just said, you can have him next season. If we win the Champions League this year, we'll be more than grateful to give him away for nothing. He'd have done his job. But for me, I'm a massive fan of his. He is. For me, I think he's going to be the best player in the world by distance. Yeah,
you wonder, Sam, whether anyone in the Premier League could grab him, you know, potentially. I mean, he seems to have had his heart set, and I keep teasing Carve this week, you know, he's got his heart set on Real Madrid, but could you see him at a team in the Premier League?
I don't think so now. Once he's expressed his love for Real Madrid as a child and a childhood dream to play for Real Madrid, I can't see that now changing, apart from if there's more financial problems at Real Madrid that they go through, and the whole of Spain seems to be in financial trouble apart from Real Madrid, but that might affect them later down the line. Then they may not be able to offer as much as they've offered at this time. Obviously a marquee signing, of course, but anybody changing his mind could only be Man City or Man United, I think.
OK, look, we need to go back to Carve because you've got some breaking news, haven't you?
Well, look, it's just a bit of an update on what's happening with Saul Niguez. This is significant news for Chelsea supporters. It is good news. I'm being told that basically the deal is agreed. Everything is sorted. The only thing that is not sorted is the paperwork. And I think it's being held up at the Spanish end of the deal with Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid obviously very, very busy tonight because they're signing Antoine Griezmann from Barcelona as well. But I'm told don't worry about this deadline of 9 minutes because they've got another hour after that as well to do the paperwork. So it looks like it is going to happen. Some of the people involved in this deal are just flying around Europe at the moment, so they'll be out of contact for the next few hours. But they're telling me that it will be done as long as Atletico Madrid get a move on, get the paperwork signed. It should be sorted. But if you're a Chelsea supporter, don't be too disheartened if the deadline passes in 8 minutes' time and we haven't announced that the deal has been done, because there is still another hour after that for the paperwork to be completed. So it's just a formality now, just the paperwork, the signatures, electronic signatures nowadays, I think, but it should be done.
Let's bring Paul Merson in on Chelsea. Paul, we know about Lukaku in, we know they wanted Koundé, that they've not got him. They're going to get Saul Niguez, I think. How complete does that make Chelsea for you as a squad to challenge at the top of the Premier League this season?
I definitely think they're massive challengers, but I do agree with Sam on letting Zuma go and not bring anybody in, especially when they play free at the back. I mean, you're going to call on times when probably James will probably have to play as one of the three, which is more of a wing back for me. They have got cover, but if them players had to play 9, 10, 11, 12 games during the season all in one hit at that position, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So for me, I think the Zuma one, I think they'd had to let Zuma go on the strength of getting Kuma in. Otherwise, or they're thinking Chalobah will be very good, and I think he will be good, but it's going to be hard, because when we get into the nitty-gritty of the Champions League, and that's what Chelsea are going to be all about, and then winning the Premier League, I think Zuma will be missed. I do think he'll be missed.
So, Chris, actually, was Koundé more of a priority for Chelsea than Saul Niguez?
Yeah, it probably was, but, you know, as Merce touched on there as well, I don't think you can... I mean, we speak about, or we hear about, you know, Chelsea's academy. You can't block that pathway as well. You need to give the kids an opportunity to come through, and you'd be hoping that maybe one or two of them can come through and establish themselves as first-team players. But, you know, I think when you are going to be fighting on all fronts, you want as big a squad as you can possibly get, and when you're letting defenders go, you would like to think you're going to replace them with another one, but it doesn't look as if that's going to be the case.
OK, thanks for now, because we're going to head back to Tottenham, because there is less than 7 minutes to go. Paul Gilmore, you've got some breaking news, haven't you?
I do, yes. Serge Aurier's 4-year spell at Tottenham has come to an end. Tottenham announced a short time ago the conclusion of those talks earlier this evening have ended with a mutual termination of his contract. Serge Aurier says, I have really enjoyed my time at Spurs and would like to thank the club and the fans, but I feel now is the right time for me to move on to a new challenge. We are told he had interest from the likes of Betis, Spartak Moscow and Genoa, but he feels he should be playing at a higher level. He is a free transfer officially now, so he can negotiate beyond this deadline. So he is available, 28 years of age. He will be remembered by Tottenham fans scoring at Old Trafford in the 6-1 victory. But there are also some hairy moments as well, the sending off at West Ham, a couple of penalty incidents where he gave away penalties, but it was certainly a lively spell. He's always seemed to be one of the characters in the changing room, but it feeds into this wider thing that Tottenham are just trying to move on the players that they feel are no longer part of the project, that gets them back to a level that they're challenging for the kinds of trophies that keep people like Harry Kane happy.
A departure from Tottenham, thank you, Paul, but an arrival at Arsenal this evening. Confirmation, as you'll have seen on your screen, that Takehiro Tomiyasu, the Japan international defender, has joined Arsenal from Bologna. 22-year-old can play at right back or centre back. They've brought in Ben White as well, of course, Sam. They've conceded 9 goals in their first 3 Premier League games. How pressing was their need for defensive reinforcements?
Well, defensive reinforcements are fine, but I still go back to basic defending, and basic defending comes through continuous practice, repetitive practice, which can be pretty boring for professionals, and certainly today. It doesn't appear that coaches or young coaches actually want to focus on that as much as they possibly should, and then you see the sort of mistakes that defenders are making today, and of course the lack of quality defenders, as far as I'm concerned, has been more around the fact of they haven't focused on the strengths defensively, but focused on their playing ability and playing out at the back. And that is hugely, hugely dangerous because, as I've said before, the best teams are the ones with the best defensive records. They're the ones that win the championships. They're the ones that win the Champions League. And you can see that across the board. Let's take Manchester City. They can score 100 goals, like I said. Yeah, and they can win the league because they've got a good defence. The year after, they can score nearly 100 goals again. Yeah, but they have the best defence and win the league back again. So, it doesn't bear in mind that Pep spent about 450 million on defenders. So it shows you how important it is for him.
Yeah.
So everybody goes on about the great football he plays, which he does, but he knows where the bread and butter is, and that's not conceding. And that's shown throughout their last 4 or 5 years. The minute they couldn't defend properly was the minute they lost the title. And it's the same with Liverpool. They had their injury problems, boom, can't defend, lost more games than they've ever lost, particularly at home, because they couldn't defend properly. Before he got there, they couldn't defend properly. He signs the players, he signed the goalkeeper, the centre-half, and they go better and better. Robertson, Alexander Arnold comes in, and all of a sudden they've got everything, the whole package. And the whole package is how quick can you win the ball back when you haven't got it. If you can't do that, you can't have the ball to win and score.
No. Look, I want to bring Chris on this. We've heard what Merce already said about Arsenal, but look, Chris, do you fear for Mikel Arteta? Merce said earlier on perhaps he didn't expect them to win against Chelsea and Man City, but they've got Norwich, they've got Burnley next. These are must-win games. Otherwise, you fear for Arteta, surely.
Yeah, I think it's like every football manager, and Sam will know better than if you're not winning games, you're going to be under pressure. But when you're at a massive club like Arsenal, then the pressure's on even more. Yes, probably because the start in terms of the teams that have been playing, he's maybe been able to cover that up. But I'll go back to what I said earlier. These were games where Arsenal were getting praised for when Mikel Arteta came in. It's totally gone now. There is no identity to what Arsenal are doing. They look weak. They're getting bullied all over the field. And I think that it's a long, long way to recover. But you can't keep just chopping and changing managers. You need to stick with somebody as well. So I know I've maybe contradicted myself there a little bit, but he's been backed. He's going to have to give him time to implement his style. And because
he's had 3 seasons.
The worst thing you could probably do, is get rid of somebody when he's spent so much money. It might be the club signings, we don't know, but I don't think that will be the case. So you're going to have to go with it at this moment in time.
OK, thanks very much indeed for now, guys. Less than 2 minutes to go. 1 minute, 35 seconds left in this window. In a few minutes' time, we hope to have some news from Everton for you. We knew that Rafa Benitez was trying to reunite with Solomon Rondon. We'll be back to Vinny O'Connor at Everton shortly for an update on that. And still plenty of deals that could be done. Sal Niguez, as Carve was telling you, is expected to get over the line. Atletico Madrid to Chelsea initially on loan. We've just heard that Arsenal have strengthened their defence, and the signs are they need to after the first 3 games at least. Takehiro Tomiyasu, the Japan international, is in at the Emirates. Odsonne Edouard has swapped the Scottish Premiership Celtic for Crystal Palace, a 4-year contract at Selhurst Park. We've got Antoine Griezmann, incredibly, set to return to Atletico Madrid from Barcelona as they continue to sell off some of their prize assets. And, of course, earlier today, Daniel James made the move from Manchester United to Leeds United in a £25 million deal. 82 days of transfer business, a summer of signings like no other, one we will never forget in a hurry. The 2 biggest names in world football both made moves. The England captain was at the centre of a lengthy saga, but he stayed where he was. The British transfer record was still broken by the champions. It has been a truly remarkable window, hasn't it? But as they say, all good things must come to an end.
OK, so it is shut, Sam. So, first question, who's done the best business, do you think, this window?
Nice easy one.
I think Chelsea, Man United. I think that looking at strengthening the squads and the quality of player that they brought in, I think that's added to their squad. I'm a bit underwhelmed around Liverpool. Not much activity there. Wijnaldum going, only one man come in.
Yeah.
I know that they're basing an awful lot on the injured players, the quality of their injured players coming back. But who's to say they won't have that injury crisis again somewhere in the season? And they've obviously shown that they don't cope with it that well. So that was a bit underwhelming. I think Everton have done well on their signings. I think Gray from Leicester looks like he's setting the Premier League on fire for 1.7 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, there's been, and obviously Arsenal, when you make that many changes, and always the most difficult thing for a manager, and same with Crystal Palace, 10 players go out, 6 or 7 players come in. Yeah, Everton, 4 or 5 players or 6 players. When it gets to 8, 9 or 10, massively difficult job as a manager to find out the personality, to find out the quality, to find out who they're playing with, what the strengths and weaknesses are, and then the players themselves integrating into those strengths and weaknesses. And you don't have a lot of time, as you know. And about results keep you in a job. No matter who you are, if you don't get results, you lose your job, eventually.
Eventually. OK, we're going to get more from you very shortly because, as we said, the window is now shut, but deals are just sneaking over the line. Everton have got one over the line. Vinny O'Connor has got the details.
Yes, Everton confirming Solomon Rondon bang on 11 o'clock with a simple message on their Twitter feed. Welcome to Everton, Solomon Rondon. And they've now released a statement as well to confirm the signing. Solomon Rondon has completed a transfer deadline day move to Everton from Chinese club Dalian Professional on a free transfer, signing a 2-year contract with the option for a 3rd season as well. And there are quotes from Solomon Rondon where he says, "I'm really glad to be back in the Premier League. It's a competition I enjoyed playing in and where I felt the fan support in every game. Defending the colours of a club with a history as rich as Everton's fills me with pride. I can't wait to pull on the shirt and be reunited with Rafa Benitez, a coach who has changed the way I understand the game. I'm really grateful for the faith he's shown in me." That's the one piece of business Everton have in terms of incomings. Of course, Niels Nkuku went out on loan, but more importantly, of course, Moise Kean has gone out on a 2-year loan to Juventus with an obligation to buy, and that is why Solomon Rondon has been brought in for that greater competition for places up front. He comes in as backup to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Rafa Benitez happy to have him because he knows about his work ethic and he knows that he will provide a decent option for Everton moving forward this season.
Brilliant stuff. A very long day for you, Vinny. Thank you so much.
Well, let's talk about Everton, shall we? Sam's already mentioned he thinks they've had a pretty good window. Let's bring in Chris and Paul. Merce, I'll start with you. A very different approach that Benitez has had to take in the market compared to his predecessors. He's not had the money to spend that some of them had. What, 1.7 million for Andre Gray? The rest, free transfers. How do you think he's done?
He's brought in hard-working lads who are going to play the way he wants to play. He's brought in Gray, who will work up and down the wing. Townsend's an honest player. I mean, he'll work his socks off for the team. He'll put crosses in the box for Calvert-Lewin. And I just think, you know, Rondon, he's worked with Rondon. I mean, if Calvert-Lewin's not fit, he's a like for like. They're going to get the ball in the box, play with wingers, get it down the wing, put it in the box for them players. And that's what he's going to want to do. You know, they're hard-working players. They're players that he's brought in where you pick the team, you tell the players what to do, and you sit on the bench and you don't have to get up again. You don't have to be sitting on the edge, getting up every 2 minutes, going to that player, get back. They're good professionals. They know their position inside out. And I think they're good signings. How far they can take them, I don't know. I mean, they top eight, and hopefully get a good cup run. That's what Everton want, you know. And, yeah, honest players, good signings, with no money to spend. You know, they're not going to be buying 80, 90 million pound players. They haven't got that money.
I think I said Andre Gray. He's gone to QPR. Oh, yeah. Damari, of course, didn't I?
No, I knew you. I knew you meant.
Chris, I mean, the one thing is, from what we know now, as far as we're aware, James Rodriguez is still at the club. What do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but he's obviously going to have to stay now till January at least. I don't like the way he's went about it. The whole, you know, since Rafa Benitez has taken over, it's pretty poor that somebody. I mean, I think if you're at a football club, go and give your all for the club, and you know, go onto social media and doing the things he's done. It's not right. It doesn't really sit right with me either, and I'm sure Not that the Everton fans will really be bothered with what I've got to say about it. I mean, but I think they will be the ones who will be fuming because if there's a big outlay on him, yes, it was a previous manager that brought him in, but you've still got to go and give your all for the football club, and that's not the case at this moment in time. But there's still time for him to rectify it.
Sam, how hard is it to manage a player that's, visibly unhappy?
He wouldn't be a Rafa player, it's a type player. As Merce just said, they all know what they've got to do, they all know how to work, they all know how to keep the system, they all know that they have to do this, do that. Spends huge amounts of time on the training ground, pulling them into the right places, the wrong places. Rodriguez, instinctive player, wants freedom, doesn't want to be restricted, doesn't want the handcuffs on. Just not Rafa's type of player. That's where the conflict lies. He loves Carlo, will follow Carlo across the world. He must have been hoping that Carlo may have tried to take him back on loan to Real Madrid, but obviously that has happened. So it's a big problem for Everton with their outlay, big problem for Rafa, and a big problem for him, because there's, the only person in the end that will lose will be Rodriguez, because who will want him in the end if he doesn't turn out and give 100% for Everton? No matter what the manager was before, it's the manager now. You're paid by Everton, you've got to give your full Monty for them, but it appears that he's sulking somewhat.
Yeah, what do you do, though? Do you have... Because, we've heard Arteta's had clear-the-air talks today. Is that what you have to do with this situation, Sam?
Well, it's kick gloves now. It's nicey, keep you cool, try and work your way through the situation, because, you have to justify above what's happening, and when you have to face your financial directors, your board, and they tell you that you are paying this much for this player and you're not playing him, why aren't you playing him? Then it becomes a bit of a problem for you. You've got to work between the board and keeping them happy and trying to get these players to get out on the pitch and do what they can for you. I think, in all fairness, he dipped off somewhat at the back end of the season for Carlo. I don't think personally that the Premier League suits him. I think he needs a much slower pace of the game, with much more freedom than you get here. Here is frenetic. It's so quick. You need so much energy. You can't have time on the ball. They just don't give it to you. And then you end up, of course, producing some great goals, some great opportunities, but not consistent enough. Rarely seen, and I think that's the problem. So it's a big one for Everton on how much outlay they've spent. But, Rafa keeps winning. Rafa keeps getting Everton playing well. It'll play that down somewhat. And it'll, until, if he hasn't gone now, until January, and they will have to move him then, unless he shows the right initiative and tries to get back in the team.
OK, Sam, thanks for now. So, Rondon to Everton done in time. In the last hour or so, a man who was linked with Everton in this window, Crystal Palace striker Odsonne Edouard, as he is now. He was a Celtic player. Everton were linked, but it's Palace who've got Odsonne Edouard, a fee that could rise to £18.5 million. Let's hear from him now. He's explaining what convinced him to join Crystal Palace.
The level of the player there, the new manager, and for me as well, it's a new challenge. It's the best league for me, so I can't say no to this team.
You said the manager, Patrick Vieira. As a Frenchman, how excited are you about playing for Patrick Vieira?
He's a French legend. In France, everyone knows him, so for me, it's big to play for him, and I'm looking forward to progress a lot with him. It's a big challenge for me. It's a big change. I'm 23 years now, and I feel I'm ready for this new challenge.
You scored so many goals in your career. How much of a different challenge are you expecting the Premier League to be?
Scoring goal in the Premier League, it's maybe my biggest challenge in my career, but I'm confident in myself and the teammate to be successful.
OK, so Crystal Palace need goals, so I'm going to ask you, Chris Boyd, is he going to do it in the Premier League? Because we saw what he can do for Celtic in the Scottish League.
That's a total different level of football, but what I will say is that if Crystal Palace get the Odsonne Edouard that arrived at Celtic, for the first number of seasons, then yes, I think he can. But, the last maybe a year to 18 months, he's not been the same player. Whether he's had his head turned with moves and everything, he's been linked with a lot of clubs. It's not came to fruition, but this one's went through. And to be fair, I just hope that he goes and does it, because he has been a star in Scottish football. And it would be, when somebody's leaving to come down, that you want him to come and do well. And I think if he gets the right service, he's definitely got the talent to score goals. But again, it's all down to goal scorers. They need their teammates to create. They need players to create the opportunities for them. Will they take the opportunities? Yes. But, I think when you look at Crystal Palace, we all expected them to be struggling this season. So, I don't expect him to go and get 15, 20 goals, but he can definitely get, maybe between 10 towards 15.
Yeah, I mean, they did struggle. It's your former club, Sam. They did struggle, didn't they? But they got a really well-deserved draw against a really good West Ham. If you look at what Patrick Vieira is trying to do there, there were concerns, I guess, going into that game. But they've lost an awful lot of experience. Jeremy McAnuff yesterday was telling me they need more experienced players. What do you make of their business then?
Well, I had Conor Gallagher last year at West Brom, so I was absolutely delighted to see his performance for Crystal Palace and his 2 goals, which were very, very good. I think that from this point of view, if you go back to Virgil van Dijk and say, could he transform from Celtic to Southampton, people questioned that. He went from Celtic to Southampton and got better. Then he transformed to Liverpool and everybody went, that's a lot of money for him, 70 million. And then he went and transformed yet again. So he went from Celtic to Southampton, Southampton to Liverpool, and made himself, along with the rest of the players he played with, a world-class player. He wasn't a world-class player at Celtic. He was a very good Premier League player at Southampton, and he was a world-class centre-half at Liverpool. And that's the type of attitude this lad will have to take. He's got the challenge of Crystal Palace. He's got the challenge of scoring goals at a higher level. And as long as he doesn't rest on his laurels and he dedicates himself more, he trains harder, he trains and gets coached more and practices more and more and more, and not rest on the fact, I've got a bigger contract, I've got a better opportunity, I've finally made it, and it goes, then that would be a disaster. And I think that's the 2 types of character you try and have to weigh up when you're signing them. You sit down with him, you look at him eye to eye, and you go, is he really going to take it up? Is he really going to improve himself? Because every new contract and every improvement in salary, I say to a player, you must play better now. You've got to play better to justify what you want. You've worked so hard to get it. You've caused enough trouble trying to get it. We'd give it to you. Now you have to play a lot better than you did before. And that's the challenge. And you must keep on at them. And you must demand, when they come to the club, that you get the best out of them and try and improve them as a player from where they come from.
Wise words. I like it a lot.
Very wise words, of course. Just a quick deal, by the way, a player that was at Everton last season, Robin Olsen, the goalkeeper, has joined Sheffield United. They've made a number of signings to try and strengthen their cause in the Championship here. He has joined them on a season-long loan. The goalkeeper, Robin Olsen, is now a Sheffield United player. It's been a window where we needed to expect the unexpected, really, and we've seen a lot of reunions and players returning to former clubs. Ronaldo to Manchester United. We've seen Solomon Rondon reunited with Rafa Benitez tonight. And could it be that we're going to see Antoine Griezmann return to his former home of Atletico Madrid? An incredible story tonight. He's all set to leave Barcelona and head back to Atletico. We're keeping a close eye on that, and more deals, which will probably still be announced, even though the window has officially closed.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in. We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.